Hello, and welcome to Skateboard Nation. Tonight's guest is Klaus Grabke, correct?
No, Grabke.
Grabke. I'm sorry. He told me I was going to have a hard time pronouncing it anyway and everything else. But anyway, man, you guys are in for a really, really cool show tonight. I'm just blown away by everything I've learned about you over the last, I don't know, 48 hours since we decided to do this.
You did the research.
I did the research.
Okay, cool.
And every night till 1 in the morning, reading up, listening to all the music and stuff that you've done. What a career.
Thank you.
Incredible. You know, I don't know. I just don't know how you've done it and been so successful for so long. And you're still doing it, and it's like it's no big deal. You know, that's the feel I've gotten since I've had a chance to talk to him for the last hour, probably going over everything, and it's truly an amazing story. But anyway, let me get into this first, and I want to talk about, you know, first of all, the career goals that you did, all the contests that you won throughout Europe. Klaus is from Germany, and you know, came back and forth a lot. You know, as far as, you know, skating over there. I mean, the way I see it is you had so many kids at that time looking up to you. I mean, you were the guy, you know what I mean? And I mean, throughout Europe, I mean, there was a couple other guys, but nobody was successful that I know of than you at that time. You skateboarded for like major brands, pretty much the best. You finished your career with probably the best, one of the best. I'm going to say top 3. Okay, top 2. Or in a lot of people's opinion, probably number 1. Depending
in my opinion, number 1. Yeah.
Number 1, okay. And you went on after skateboarding and had an incredible music career with all the producing that you did, managing that you did. What is it? You made records for some people. Let me see here. I'm just gonna look at my notes really fast. But like the Foo Fighters, you worked with them, Oasis, Bad Religion, and Bon Jovi. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Not so bad
to have that reputation, to be able to be like, hey, we gotta call Klaus.
Oh God,
you gotta call Klaus. Get him on the phone. No, we need him. Anyway, and now even to this day, I guess you kind of semi-retired, or did you keep on going with that? Or
not at all retired. I think that's
not
important
retired.
To
that's
know.
a bad thing to say. But I mean, like, okay, you retired from skateboarding.
Yes.
Then you were working with a lot of really big bands, and now you're doing music videos for your own son's band.
Well, I'm producing. I've always produced bands.
Okay.
And I have a big studio, which now belongs to. First of all, hi everybody. Which belongs to my son's band now. But
okay.
We still run it together. So for about 8 years now, I've only worked for their band. They're going off. It's great. I life mix them. I tour manage. I produce and do their music videos. But we do everything together. It's not like I'm the one in charge. Like we'll talk about it, and then someone needs to make it happen, right? So that's often me. And so I'm not retired at all. We play 200 shows a year worldwide. We have a van here in the States for Canadian and American tours. We have a van in Europe for European tours. And it's 200 shows a year, and I mix every one of those shows. So I'm not retired. Trust me.
I know you're not. I just meant retiring from
different bed every night.
Certain things.
Yeah.
But I know you're still working your butt off.
But skateboarding, you're right. Yeah. I still skate, but I'm not a professional skateboarder by any means.
Right. Well, yeah. It's like, why do I want to pick up a penny when I can go make real money over here in the music world?
Yeah, but say that, but it's hard anyway.
So I got 2 things for my listeners. First thing, I just want to say thank you for watching tonight's episode. If you're on YouTube, please hit your like and subscribe button. And if you guys are listening and you have a second too, don't be afraid to jump over and check out the band we're talking about. It's called The Picture Books. So go ahead and Google it, and you'll see it. Some amazing music on that as well. So anyway, okay. So now to skateboarding.
Yes, please.
Let's go to your life in skateboarding. So let's start from the very beginning. You grew up in Germany, and Give me some city. Give me how you got around local parks, how you got involved in skateboarding to begin with. Like, who was doing it? I mean, how popular was skateboarding back in 1980, or when did you start, in 70s?
Right. It's so cool because your question already has a lot of, this is a Californian
like
asking you these questions. What's your local park?
Yeah.
In 76.
Okay,
when
started in 76.
There wasn't any parks.
Right.
Not in Germany.
Okay.
Nothing. As a matter of fact, and you're like, who did you skate with?
Yeah.
My cousin and I were fun kids. You know, I grew up in Gütersloh, Germany, a little hick town close between Dortmund and Münster,
Okay.
sort of like belly button of Germany. And there was no skateboarding around or nothing. We played soccer. We built like little airplane models and stuff. And one day found a broken roller skate and duct taped it to a piece of plywood and rode down a hill, not knowing that this is something already. Maybe a week or two later on television, there's some guys, the Banzai team, Germany,
Wow.
doing it on German national television. Also, the same team appears in 2 movies that come out around the same month. Everything happened then. And boom, you had a big trend like yo-yo or like hula
hoops, yeah.
skateboarding.
Yeah, okay.
Right? We're like, oh, these things are out there. We buy our first plastic board that's available at the local sports store where they sell like tennis equipment, ski equipment, all that stuff. Nothing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, there was no scene yet.
Right.
It was just me and my cousin in the beginning. He stopped skating. I found some other guys, 2 other guys. So the local scene was us 3. We knew about skateboarding because quickly it died, right? After the first fad, it died off. And that's kind of the beginning of my skateboarding. We're talking going down the hill, slalom around cans, and later, maybe a year later or something, we did a show for the local sports shop and got like a piece of plywood as pay. And we, you know, put that plywood, leaned it against like a fence and had like a little quarter ramp sort of structure. And then took it from there. But it was really a lot of freestyle skating, a lot of like high jump, barrel jump, all of those first things. You got to understand that in Germany, the first people to really be shown on television weren't like Tony Alva or those guys. It was the Freeformer skate team.
Okay.
And it was Russ Howell.
Wow.
And Ed Nadalin. Those guys. So I didn't see anyone skating a pool in the beginning. I saw Russ Howell spinning 360s.
Yeah.
So I wanted to spin 360s. I saw, is it Brad Beardsley? I might say it the wrong way. He was like the high jump guy who jumped the Porsches in the videos.
Yeah, right.
So we wanted to do that, right? We wanted to be Ty Page.
Right, okay.
We wanted tracksuits. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yellow ones if possible, right?
Right, yeah.
But that's our humble beginning. My first, and this is more like answering your question the way you put the question.
Yeah.
My first actual skate park that I skated was in 1977, because people might not know this, but Germany, people know that Germany lost the Second World War, and that's a great thing. And it was divided in 4 parts. So I'm from the British part. So we were occupied by the Brits. My hometown had a lot of British kids. I skated with the kids. It was awesome. I learned my English from the British kids. And then one day I get the chance through a skateboard team that they had to go to London for a week on the British school bus. I don't have a British passport, nor am I a member of the British Army, but I kind of went. No one asked for it. You know, back then it didn't matter. Right. And I skated the Rolling Thunder skate park in London. It's an indoor skate park, one of the biggest parks I've ever seen to this day. And the British talent was great. They could really skate well, but Shogo Kubo was there on his British tour. Okay. He had like a week-long tour or something. So my first pro that I ever saw was Shogo Kubo on the Dogtown Beamer model with like tracker magnesium trucks. That was my first experience with that.
Seeing a pro.
And being a freestyler, not knowing how to skate anything transition, I skated the pole bowl because it had a big pole in the middle at Rolling Thunders. That was my first pool. I learned how to frontside and backside grind the first day, axle in and frontside air out the second day.
Wow.
I was hyped.
Yeah. You know, anybody be hyped on that.
I was hyped on the park. I was hyped on everyone skating with me. I was hyped on the scene because I came from this little hick town where nobody but my 2 German friends and my 10 English friends were skating. You know what I mean? We had our own thing going, which was great. But here I am in London skating their local parks, and I keep running into Shogo Kubo, you know? So that's my humble beginnings.
Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. Okay, so anyway, did you ever think about like calling your mom and saying, hey, I'm never coming home, I'm staying here?
There is a story like that. There's a story like that, but that's a couple of years later when things were different. You didn't have a phone. You couldn't be tracked.
Right. Yeah, I know.
I was that kind of a kid. I would come home at 6 like I was told to, and then leave through my upstairs window and climb back up when I was done skating, you know, at night.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, once I did skate the European Championships in like the early 80s, like 81 maybe. And I bought a plane ticket, just flew out there, skated the competition. I was gone for 5 days. I didn't call my parents. I ended up being second, so vice European champion back then. And I called my mom after 5 days. I'm like, yeah, I'll be home tomorrow. I'm the vice European champion now. I'm in London. And all she had to say was, your room looks like a mess. You need to clean up your room. So I took the train and went back home. I flew there, but I took the train back. I wanted to save a little money.
So that was your first like competition?
No, the first competition, honestly, was in 77. It was like the city that's the bigger city next to my city is called Bielefeld. And there's a surf/skate/ski store that opened up, which was like, this is how Kryptonics smell.
Right.
You know, for us, we're really not here. We're not in the mecca of skateboarding. Right. Everything skateboarding to us was like, we could try to get every information we could get. All of a sudden, the shop opens up, and they have like the Powell, those aluminum slalom boards and the GNS boards and all of that. We're going crazy. Yeah. Right? So they had a Bielefeld City Championship.
Okay.
And I went. I didn't know how good I was. I thought I was nothing because it was obviously better people. But I ended up winning the slalom, the freestyle, and I got second in high jump and won the overall and became a sponsored skater overnight. I was sponsored by Calypso Skateboards.
Calypso?
Well, you know, the company that made Calypso is SKF Ball Bearings, who made Sims Gold Bearings, for instance.
I have no idea.
Yeah, they're like a German company. And they also made skateboards called Calypso. They were aluminum double kick boards. Okay. And so that was my first sponsor, my first contest I ever entered. And I entered a bunch of major, like even European championships, German championships. Those were all over the place. And it was mostly freestyle that I entered in because nobody was riding half pipe at the time. And then, like I said, 79, it's when half pipe was sort of introduced at these contests with the Pepsi half pipe. Okay. But no one could get to the top. This was all, we were very late in that game. Yeah. So the 81 contest in London was probably my first big half pipe contest that I entered. Right.
And how'd you do?
I got second.
Okay. That was
and I also entered freestyle. I got third. And I entered slalom and I got fifth.
You're falling in freestyle. Huh?
You know, I still like freestyle, man. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Was there who? Do you remember who you were skating against?
Yeah, Pierre-Andre Saint-Nazaire. I think
Pierre-Andre.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he won. And then one of my best friends ever, best freestyler and most stylish freestyler to this day, Shane Rouse from England. He got second. Okay. Yeah, those guys. And, you know.
See, I was totally oblivious to really what was going on during our time in Europe. Like, I had no idea.
We had to sort of make up a lot of stuff and make it be our thing because you couldn't skate all year.
Right.
Yeah, we have strong winners out there. Like a lot of East Coast people who are listening in or watching this will know that's a problem, right? Yeah. So garages became a thing, and anything with a roof on top was great. My schoolyard had a bit of a downhill thing with a roof on top. So you could like do slalom and stay halfway dry. So that was a problem that Californians didn't have, and we didn't have the skate parks. So every skatable structure was made out of wood somehow. In the beginning, very primitive structures just to be going against some sort of bank wall. And then eventually the local sports shop said, let's build a half pipe. We built a half pipe for them. And that was a shitty one, like, 10 foot high, 1 foot of vert. Maybe 13 feet wide, not a lot of flat bottom, no coping, one platform on one side, the typical thing for back in those days.
That's what we did.
You
That's
know.
what we had. That sounds exactly like
Well,
the
there you
half
go.
pipes I was riding back in the day, man. There's never a deck,
And then
ever.
The only time, like the first time I got any sort of information from the outside world was really meeting my British friends. Because they had magazines in the UK. They had parks in the UK. So I got knowledge on, like, then I knew what Gordon and Smith is, or what Powell Peralta is, or Logan Ersky, Sims. I knew all those companies. Before I had no idea. Whatever was in the shop, I would buy, right?
Wow.
And so then it's word of mouth. You'd see a kid. I'd go to Berlin for a weekend, and there's a kid in Vans. So I knew he's a skater. He's still one of my best friends. I just walk up and say, hey, where do you skate? And it's like, you know, it's really so few people were skating in those.
Oh, yeah, I know. No, it wasn't.
Made their own scene, right? I mean, just to... Like, I didn't know Titus before this, but my mom found a thing in the newspaper that said there's a professional American team doing a half-pipe demo about a half hour from where I live. So my friend and I packed our things. We had half-pipe boards. We knew what that was. We could do rock and rolls, frontside airs. So we had a half-pipe. We're experienced, as we thought. And in our self-made shorts that looked like Rectors but weren't, in our self-made knee pads that looked like Rectors but weren't.
Right.
We went, but with a real flyaway helmet, the pride of my collection, right? We went, and there was a huge half pipe in the center of town, and some non-skaters were watching, and some skaters were skating it about halfway up. And there's a guy with a giant mustache. I'll walk over, and it's Titus. I'll walk over and I said, hey man, so when's the American team gonna show up? He's like, we're the team. I said, in the newspaper it said American skateboard team, so we were hoping you guys can, you know, those guys can skate this thing. It's like, do you not call this skating? I said, all right. So, have at it. Go for it.
Yeah.
And I climbed up the top. They didn't have a platform on, maybe you know, about this wide. I climbed up, I dropped in and did a frontside air, full wheels out. And the audience who'd seen them skate all day below coping, sometimes 6 people at the same time in the half pipe, are now witnessing this guy climbing up, dropping in, actually going over the lip. So they're freaking out.
Yeah.
And the team was stoked to see us skate, and we became a part of that team. You know, I'm still associated with those people. Met them there and then. Man. But it's not like you knew what to look for. By accident, I found this demo, and we found each other, and I was a part of the Titus team that day.
Wow. Okay, so is that when you quit Calypso? And
no, I didn't.
And then moved into Titus?
Oh, it's a good question. No one's ever asked me that. I didn't quit Calypso.
Okay.
They gave me a board and they said, you're part of the team. And
and that was
I never heard of them again. It's like I got like a set of ball bearings and a T-shirt. I later joined that skate shop, Mech Surf Sport, I should say, was the skate shop. I got like a Hobie shirt, and that made me a part of their team. We did demos, little slalom demos and freestyle demos, and you know, around locally. But then I never had to quit Calypso. And the Titus team also, I could have been on Calypso even if I wanted to, but I wasn't anymore. No. That part of skateboarding had died. No more aluminum double kicks.
Okay, man.
It was like
dangerous.
It was Dave Andrick Sims skateboards.
Ah, there we go.
You know, those were around.
I don't know. Were they around?
Titus was riding a Lamar from the same series, and one of the guys was definitely riding your board. And my local friend Bent, who I told you about, he was definitely riding your board.
Oh, interesting. Because I
went for my local, not the skate shop, which was a town further, but the local not skate shop, but local sports shop with a little skate department. We went to shop to, you know, some distributors in Germany to make, you know, he's like, we got to update this shop. I've got bad equipment. I need you to help me. We're going to drive to 3 distributors throughout Germany, and you're going to pick what I'm going to sell in the shop. Wow. I handpicked 5 of your boards. Wow. I remember clearly.
Thank you.
Grabbing 5 of those. I'm like, these are hot right now, is what I said. Grabbed a couple of Lamars, a Foamer.
Bowmans.
But like also other companies, whatever, you know, Powell had at the time.
Santa Cruz.
Ray Bones. I definitely
Yeah.
Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And so he was selling those in the shop, but yeah.
Wow.
And yours went quickly.
Did they? Shoot, man. Because, yeah, I don't know. I never got paid for them.
So I hear. That's crazy. That's crazy, right? Everyone that knows this guy is like, how can that be?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, your board was super popular.
I was stupid. That's why I was naive and I had no idea.
Best looking skateboard out there.
Yeah. Well, Tom Sims was the one that designed it. So,
yeah,
he did a good job on that. No question about it. Because I had no say in my board whatsoever.
Well,
I just was handed a board and said, this is the board.
Did you like it at first? Were you like,
yeah, I mean, it was my board. So, of course, those are the greatest. But I never knew I could change it. I never knew I could do anything.
Yeah.
They did whatever they did, and that was that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The sales started dropping off. I guess they changed it to black to purple to blue to pink to whatever. So, anyway, yeah. Well, how did you get around? Like, you were, what, 16, 17 at this time?
Yeah, at that time I was. Yeah.
Okay.
Trains. You know, public transport.
Trains. Okay.
We're talking about Europe here. So public transport is a thing, and it's working, and you hop on the train. Got like a junior card or whatever it was called at the time. So mainly the city I went to at the time was Bielefeld. Then later it was Münster. When I was associated with Titus, he then had a skate park. So you could meet other people, not just your two friends at home. You could actually skate with people. So
Titus had some amazing skate parks.
Yeah,
he did, man. Like the indoor parks that he did. Because I was lucky enough to go to some of those, but even after the fact, like right before he actually closed a couple of them that had been open for 10, 15 years. And because I got to travel back there quite a bit during my DUPS days. So that was like 90, 91, 92, I think it was.
Yeah, that would have been a lot of skate parks. It was a heyday again.
Oh, actually,
skateboarding, as everyone knows, is an up-down sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't go very far down anymore, but skateboards and skateboarders are not necessarily just, it's not just about selling skateboards. It's a lot about selling the clothes and the shoes too. Thus, you know that.
Everything.
So sometimes skate parks were needed because a lot of people were skating, and sometimes they just weren't needed. Yeah. So they got rid of them again because they cost a lot of money to rent the space. The outdoor ones are what's popular right now. It's like the concrete ones. They really learned how to have concrete skate parks even in a country that has strong winters. Yeah. Because you get cracks in them if you build them the wrong way. But so they build them pretty sturdy, and we've got some pretty good ones now. Yeah. All over Europe.
Are they mostly wood or metal?
No, concrete.
Concrete.
The outdoor ones are almost all, I shouldn't say that. About half of them are built by companies that know what they're doing, and they use skate light, and they make it pretty waterproof. And then, IOU ramps, you know what I'm talking about?
Andreas. At IOU, man.
Yeah. They're doing a great job out there.
He's awesome.
But then there's a lot of companies that specialize in concrete skate parks. Some of them are shit. Yeah. Sorry to say. Yeah. Most of them are now great.
Well, that happens here.
And the cities have found out that if we build good ones, people will use the parks for a long time. They'll be at the park. They can just drive over and see, there's about 100 kids at the park. We did great. And the bad ones, people would come for the opening and never come back. Yeah. So they got rid of those. So it's good parks now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's people had years now time to design and do the right thing now. So
absolutely,
and there's so many those guys that are coming over here to look at all the new best parks here as well. So.
But I mean, you guys and you as well, you got lucky. You skated all the classic parks.
Yes.
Not sure how that compares to the new parks, if Marina Del Rey was smooth or not. I never skated it.
Yeah.
I only skated Del Mar once, as we established earlier.
Okay, well, I can say that Marina was a lot better than Del Mar.
Right.
Del Mar was rough. It was rough. The pool, you know what? It was weird because like the walls themselves were a little bit rougher, and the flat bottom I remember was pretty smooth there.
Okay.
So, but I remember the walls being rough.
I skated Upland, and I skated Upland the Replica later, which was much smoother.
Yes.
And but now being on tour and stuff, you sometimes get to skate whatever's close to the shows that my son plays. We'll get to that later, I'm sure. But sometimes there's skate parks. We skated the Santa Cruz one just now, and they're well built now. They now by now they know how it's done.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing that sometimes they still build bad parks. So anyway, you're just kind of like sitting there going like, who wasted the time to do this?
Right.
You're like, and the money. you know.
yeah.
But it's funny because you know Tony Magnuson.
I do. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because Tony and I had that conversation the other day about, you know, like how can they just screw up a skate park? And it's so easy now because all you gotta do is take the best of that, put it here, and have a great skate park.
In Germany and Europe, what happened is they went to companies that offered the service.
Okay.
And we have like it's called TUV. It's like your DMV.
Okay.
And they don't just do cars, they also do everything public. You build a playground, it needs to be TUV approved.
Okay.
Skate parks need that as well. So here's a city, and they want to build a skate park because they got like a petition by whatever, 25 local kids.
Right.
And they're going to see who's going to build this park. And there's this company that offers the complete service.
Right.
We can build you a park. We know what's good. And we have the TUV approval stamp.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost you this much money. And then the poor mayor of the city goes, that's great, let's do it. He doesn't know.
Right.
He's not a skater.
Right.
And then this company comes in with pre-made stuff. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Maybe the city didn't have much money, so they'll put, I've seen this, a quarter ramp, 10 feet of flat, a set of stairs, and a slanted like slalom ramp type thing. That's the skate park. So you drop in, you brake, go up the stairs and ride down the slalom. But that's what happens. But then skaters knew, and then they started having companies that know better, and they come in with the skateboarder mind, and they go, no, let's build this pool like that.
Do it the right way.
It makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I hate to see it when they ruin a good place, man. Anyway, so when was the first time that you got over here? Like when you started, okay, so you got sponsored. Well, let's go back to Titus first.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like this to...
My main first sponsor, my real sponsor.
Yeah, first one, you show up to a skate park, they're there, Titus is sitting there, half his guys are going halfway up the wall, he's happy. You drop in, go to the top, do front side air out.
And he was so cool about it, too. It's not like he was pissed off that I'm, like, stealing their show or something. Like, he was like, oh, my God.
I got to have you on the team.
I got to have you on my team.
Yeah.
So a great relationship was formed that day. And, he went on. He had great ideas. He would come back to us for ideas. He was the perfect guy to, like, if you threw an idea at Titus, he would make sure it happens. I said, let's have a magazine.
Yeah.
I made the magazine. He paid for it, got it printed. Said, let's have a company.
Wait. What do you mean? You did the magazine too?
Well, no.
Like,
so the magazine was called Monster Magazine.
Okay.
It was called Münster Monster Magazine.
Okay.
My nickname at the time, given to me by some British friends, was the Münster Monster. Okay. So I said, let's have a magazine. Wow. He knew about this name. We kind of brainstormed back and forth. I said, we need to put, like, we didn't have this information. Like, every country has their magazine. We don't have a magazine.
Yeah.
So I offered my service and said, I photograph, I can design stuff. Let's have a magazine. Let's bring one out. Let's see if people like it. What do we call it? Let's call it Münster Monster Magazine. It was, I don't know who had the idea first. It doesn't matter. So that's the first magazine we had. I put that together. He put some stuff in there. Some other people contributed. We had a first issue. We brought it to the printers. Had, I think, 2 sponsors that had like an ad in there or something so we could pay for it. And then people from all over Germany sent like whatever money for it at the magazine. And then every other month or so, it would come out. We would cover competitions. And for the first 18 issues, I was the editor of Monster. It was then called Monster Skateboard Magazine.
You were what, 19 at that time then? 18? 17, 18?
That was an 80.
Okay.
1.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was 18. Yeah. You did the math. 18. Thank you. Yeah, Thank you for sparing me that. I was around 18.
No,
I was skating. Like we were skating, and part of skating to us also meant photographing. I had a friend, one of my friends who owned the Andrich board. His brother was a professional photographer, so he took some pretty good ones of us, and I liked photography. Yeah. He showed me a couple of tricks. So once we had the magazine, we took more photos. Make sure we can fill a magazine. We went to competitions, took photos. The magazine came out with that, so the 18 first issues, I did those myself, and then we had more people come in and help.
Okay, I got it.
I've always been a contributor to the magazine.
Okay, so the first 18 issues. How many covers did you have, or centerfolds?
Of those? Of the first 18 issues?
Yeah. Did you give yourself any?
Well, I had the
like
first one.
Oh, you had the first cover.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was not my decision. It was a decision of the team.
Of course.
And maybe I had one more in those first 18. I'm not sure. I won like a big contest, and it was that. Florian took a great photo of you there. Look, you know. But then Monster Magazine kept going.
Oh yeah.
I must have had 15 or so.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my decision anymore.
Okay.
I'm not that kind of a guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that thing grew into the Magalog.
Yeah.
Do you remember when it was called the Magalog?
And I contributed to the Magalog too. Yeah.
That thing was like what, 300 pages?
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
It was out quarterly.
Yeah.
And that thing was on the best paper.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
That was the. I think I still have one of those at home. I think I have
also
one more. I have a Magalog at home.
If you don't, I'll send you one. I think it's because we didn't have our own skateboarder magazine or Thrasher. We didn't have that.
Right.
And our European style of going about things was a little different. So the magazines looked a little different, maybe. It was more about what's going on locally. And we'd have in like later, obviously, we had like some American guys in there, interview with Steve Cavallero, etc. You were in there, all of that, of course.
That's the Magalog I have still.
No, but you know, but it was I think that those people who did that all came from that time of skateboarding where we had none of that.
Right.
And so the need was there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's also fun making the magazine. It's fun sorting out the photos, doing the graphics and stuff like that. And later, I don't know how I pulled it off. I was a photographer and contributor for Thrasher and Transworld.
Wow.
I photographed covers for both magazines.
You got covers for both of them?
And I was on covers, on both of their covers, yeah.
Unbelievable.
I photographed covers.
Transworld too?
Yeah.
I didn't find that one.
And I was on them as a skater. Oh. It's a weird thing.
Yeah. No, I mean,
none of those magazines ever had it was a political thing against me.
Yeah,
you know
of
what I mean?
course.
I could
it wasn't
do
just
photos
against
for them
you.
And for
Oh, yeah. Okay, I gotcha. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those guys don't like that stuff.
Yeah.
When you contribute to more than one.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You work with me.
I also later in life had a record deal with BMG and EMI at the same time for two different bands. I don't know. Maybe I came in strong and said that's how it's going to be. I don't know. I'm not sure.
But they said we love your music, so we have to do it.
I think that's
we got to bend over. We got to take it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's incredible, man. I had no idea that you did all that.
Yeah.
So you not only were on covers of both Transworld and Thrasher, but you also took pictures of people that were on Transworld.
Correct.
Oh my God. Okay, well, you're the only guy I know that's pulled that one off in the industry.
You have to be a desperate young German.
I guess I'm gonna have to ask like Swift and Grant and see if they've pulled that one off. But
yeah, I doubt it because they were so inclined with their own magazines.
Yeah,
they pulled up. I mean, Grant. I mean, I have the highest respect. For Grant or Mofo.
Yeah.
All those guys. Kevin Thatcher as an editor. You know, that's great. But I got to live as in those times, and it wasn't a big deal because it's just what you did.
Yeah. No, that's a big deal.
I kind of understand that now, but at the time,
big deal.
When it happens, when your career was happening, you didn't notice it because you were just doing it.
Yeah. Like
you were saying, someone handed you a board.
Yeah.
And if you only knew how big of a deal that board was for us back in Gütersloh, Germany, and you never know.
That is, that's insane, man. I had no idea. Let me mark that up again. Incredible career then, you know, and we're just getting started really because
I'm not a pro yet.
You're not a pro yet.
This all happened before I became a pro.
Really? Before you became pro?
I became a pro. We had the magazine. We had the magazine out.
Okay.
We didn't have the competition yet. And Titus goes, we just noticed that around us, skateboarding, like I said, skateboarding as a trend thing had died. Yeah. It wasn't on television anymore or in the tabloids or whatever. Right. And there was a bunch of it in those. And we got to shape our own scene out of nothing.
Start over.
The Ashes. Phoenix.
Yeah.
Let's go. So the music came in, the art came in, everyone contributed. It wasn't enough to just be a good skateboarder. What are you bringing to the table? Oh, you can build ramps so well? Why don't you come and build ours? In return, you'll get an ad for your company in the magazine or something. Help each other. And then so in all of that, Titus goes, you need a board. You need a pro board with my company, Titus, which was super small at the time. He had a skate shop. And
well, this is this was 79-ish then.
No, 80, 81-ish, 80,
Really?
81, somewhere in there. Don't quote me on the exact date.
I was going to say.
Definitely 80.
He was starting to grow.
Yeah,
like,
that's when that
like,
happened. It just,
boom.
trust me, and everyone around him was a part of it and loved it.
Because, I mean, eventually Titus was like 100, okay, wait a minute, 300 square meter building.
Yeah, 38 stores in all of Europe.
38 stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
But this is one store in Munster that people would travel to. He was close to the train station, so people from all over Germany would come see what he has. And it's a super mini store at the time.
Yeah.
So he's like, let's have a board. Let's make you a board. I'm like, I'm super stoked. Let me think about this for a little bit. I don't just want to rush in. This is the German in me, right? I mean, you have to think about everything first.
Okay.
My thing at the time was time.
Yeah.
I never had enough time to do the many things that I was doing. So I started philosophizing on time. What is this?
Okay.
So I wanted a clock on the board. I knew that, like like I was on the train back home. He just talked to me about it. I was stoked. I was thinking about it. Clock it must be. What kind of a clock? I go through, like, one of my father had a couple of books, and I find this old poster of British Airways, and it's two airplanes pulling a clock apart, right? So pulling on the clock. It looks like a melting one, but it's really just a clock that's pulled apart to sort of show that we take you from time zone to time zone if needed.
Okay.
And I didn't copy that, but in my memory, I redrew it on a blank that Titus gave me the other day. The next day.
Yeah.
Just a square board. And first of all, I cut out a shape that I liked out of the board, and I hand drew the graphic onto the board. And that, they scanned it from that. And that's my first graphic that I ever got. Was a clock pulled apart by two planes with my name on it. Okay. And they made it, believe it or not, they made it out of Mike McGill blanks.
Really?
Yeah, Powell. He was good with Powell at the time, and my shape fit very well into a Mike McGill. Okay. So, like, send us a bunch of those. We'll have, like, a local carpenter cut them out for us, and then the local whatever screen guy did that, and they made, I want to say 50 maybe. Yeah. And that's the first one I had, and I had 5 ones with Titus, all clocks and all kinds of variations over the years.
Wow. So how long did you skate for Titus, like, at that point?
I skated for, until 85.
Till 85.
And in 83, Spidey and Steve Keenan came over and were, like, my first American visitors. I've had many. Right. My mother will tell you the stories of so many of them who stayed at my house for a long time. But they, Spidey came over, and he one night says, can I call Santa Cruz real quick? I got to talk to someone there. And he called Tim Kamada and said, Tim, I found the German Lester Kazai. Wow. And then Tim wanted to sign me and get me on Santa Cruz that day. Let's make a board. If Spidey says he found someone, I trust him. Wow. But I said, I'm with this guy, Titus. I'm a loyal dude. And it's not like, like your sponsor. I wasn't making anything on this. There's a couple of boards made. This is pretty much for Germany only. But I'm like, I didn't see it yet. I'm like, let's wait this out a little bit. So I skated for Titus till 84, late 84. And I was already riding Powell wheels. So the step to, Titus had a word in this too. I said, Titus, I got to move on. I got to go someplace. And I think we both sort of called George. And I knew George already. And George flew over. We had a talk. We went to ISPO in Munich together and sort of talked about, let's do this right for us. So I was riding the Ray Bones for a little bit. Wow. And then Stacy said, let's have a board.
Well, that's rad of Spidey to say and do what he did. Yeah. First of all,
Yeah, he didn't even have his board yet. He could have just be quiet about it. But he was at my house for 3 months and we skated everything together. And he felt the need to call Santa Cruz and say, hey, I found this dude.
And for him to sit there and say, this guy's the next Lester Kasai.
It's a good comparison because I skated with Lester a bunch. We had a very similar style of skating.
Yeah.
So I see what he was getting at.
Yeah.
But I didn't know I thought he was just going to make a call to Santa Cruz to order more wheels.
Well, it's funny because Lester's going to the Hall of Fame this year.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for Lester. Yeah, deservingly so.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay, so back to with Titus though. Okay, so that's kind of how you meshed into going on Powell. George came out.
That whole Titus thing was cool, and it worked so well for a long time. The magazine was going, the Monster Mastership contest was going every year, so it had done what it needed to do. It had built a scene. It had helped to build a scene. So it was time for me to move on. I went from Tracker, who Mike McGillick got me on.
Okay.
Because one thing we shouldn't forget to say real quick. I was still riding for Titus, and there was these skate camps in Sweden called the Hurricana Skate Camp, which is where Mike invented the McTwist.
Right
there.
Okay, yeah.
So the first year I went was in '81. I went as someone who paid to be taught by Steve Cavallero and Mike McGill.
Yeah.
I left with a Tracker sponsorship.
Yeah.
And the next year, I was one of the coaches, together with Neil Blender and Billy Ruff and Rodney Mullen.
Wow.
This is 3 weeks. The kids were renting these, for a week or so. They were like, I want to be part of it.
Skate
they would stay in the camp. They would get food, and we would skate with them every day and teach tricks if needed. And ask questions.
Hang out and talk.
Answer questions, And the year after, Mike McGill invents the McTwist. I think it's 83. I'm not sure. We took that famous photo, 84. That's also exactly. And then we took that triple photo with Lance, because Lance, Mike, Rodney, and I were we were the coaches that year, and Mike invented the McTwist. So, but that's where I got sponsored by Tracker. So I went from Titus and Tracker and Powell Wheels to Powell Peralta only and independent. Because Indy were saying, because my dad wasn't going to pay for my way out to the U.S., but I really needed to go.
Yeah.
So Fausto's like, we need you over here. They gave me an ad. I have one of those cool Indy ads. Neil Blender took the photo.
Wow.
And they flew me out for that, for the big, the Mount Trashmore contest in '85. So that's my first time I'm here. I'm pro for Powell. Don't have a model. I'm pro for Indy. I'm skating a contest. That's it.
How'd you do there?
I got 11th, and what I didn't know, and what I should have known, I would have gotten better. I tell you, I would have ended up better. I should have known about jet lag. I had no idea. No one told me about it. I came in 2 nights before the contest, which is bad. And I was supposed to be picked up by Fausto and Mofo, who were heavy drinking and not remembering to pick me up from the airport in Virginia Beach. So I find this kid on the strip, and he's wearing a Thrasher shirt. So I'm like, dude, I'm in this contest over the weekend. Are you going? Yeah, I'm going. Can I stay at your place tonight? Because I was supposed to be picked up by, so I'm staying with this guy.
You don't know him.
He drives me to the contest. I'm way too late. I'm just about, getting my number, and the ramp has concrete coping with like a thumb thick gap between each and one of them. I've never skated pool coping or concrete coping. It's always been PVC pipes for me.
Right.
So I'm having a hard time out there. I'm jet lagging. I'm falling asleep on the ramp.
Yeah.
But that was my first contest. I was supposed to go back with Fausto and Mofo to get my Thrasher interview in San Francisco. But I end up staying 2 days longer with the Godoys, because we found some cool people, and we want to skate some more. Neil Blender is a part of that group.
Yeah.
So we stay a little longer, and I tear all the ligaments in my shoulder. I hang up on an Indy Air, and I have to go home. So I never got the Thrasher interview. It's never too late, guys. But that was my first time in the States. Wow. 3 days in the States.
On 3 days.
Yeah.
And then back.
The doctor put me on a Lufthansa flight. He said, don't get this repaired here. Okay. What I also didn't know about the States, I didn't know about jet lag, and I didn't know about insurance and stuff over here. So he's like, I'm going to call Lufthansa. They're going to take you on board, and you're going to get it repaired in Germany, where my insurance just paid for it.
Right. Okay.
Because here I would have paid big bucks.
20 grand.
Yeah,
30
at
grand.
least. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
welcome to America.
Yeah. So I went back. And then, but I started talking to Stacy about a board with my name. And because it was only by telephone calls, which were expensive, so you couldn't have too many of them.
Right.
And by letters.
Right.
The communication wasn't like doing a quick, whatever, FaceTime meeting or something like that. You know, it's like it was draggy. I drew the graphics myself. I sent them over. They liked them. In hindsight, I should have probably had their guy do it. Would have been awesome to see a Powell style graphic with an exploding clock or something, but I chose to have a flame face in there instead of a clock. This is my only board that doesn't have a clock. And the board came, and it was the wrong shape. It was too long, too wide. I didn't like it. Okay. And
yeah, but I think you're probably, well, no, I think Stevie's done a couple of his own graphics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's pretty amazing that you did your own graphic for Powell, because Powell, I don't know.
Usually doesn't do that, but they were into it.
Yeah.
And I think it was changing a little bit, because you talked to Mike Vallely about his graphics. It's a difficult, these were times when they were changing the original graphics to something else.
Right.
Mike had a hard time with that.
Yeah.
Dealing with Stacy and finding the right elephant type graphic. He had some people draw it. They didn't like that. It was difficult. Yeah. I just got lucky that they really liked mine. But if you look at Steve Stedham's graphics, they were already different than what Stevie and Mike McGill and those guys had.
He had that, like a ace of spade,
exactly,
or whatever.
So I think mine fit right in a way. But it was there. They were always a little shaky on whether or not this is going to come out in the U.S. And
really?
Yeah, they're from Germany, so we're not sure yet. And I was like, I needed someone to really be sure about bringing out a board worldwide, because that's what I was aiming at. Right. So when the board came, I was already a little pissed off, and then the board came, 4 of them. Those boards you see sometimes are very collectible. Oh, because they only made a handful.
Only a handful of collectors. Yeah. There's a lot of collectors out there that are looking for your board.
And they know.
Right now.
They know.
Yeah, I know.
And I was pissed off. I called Stacy the same night. I said, I'm quitting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, just because of that
in
decision?
hindsight, looking back at it now, to call Stacy of all people and say, hey, man, it's not working for me. You know, where nowadays, again, I would have picked up my phone, FaceTimed, and said, hey, man, what's up with this board? Yeah. You know, let's get this right. Let me fly over real quick and work on this. But I had test boards that were different. So I wasn't happy, and I quit. So that's my Powell Peralta story.
Wow. Yeah, I was always kind of wondering, like, what happened there and why it didn't happen, why you weren't still riding, because I mean, that was the ultimate team. Anybody that got on that team, you know, was like.
But I can be honest with you, right? Yeah, we can be honest on this podcast. It was the ultimate team for 5 people. And the people that were not those 5 people, will every one of them, I guarantee you, I'm not mentioning any names. They will all tell you it's a drag being outside of that group. Yes. That group of people is the best group of people in skateboarding. Yes. To this day. Right. So it was hard to make it into that inner circle. Right. And I was one of those guys that didn't make it into that inner circle, I tell you. And there's a couple of those guys. Yeah. So I am super stoked. Yeah. There's that board. Yeah. 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 I made those. I was doing an apprenticeship at like a local advertising agency. So I had the tools to draw well, you know, with the right. Yep. Didn't just have like a pencil. I had the proper pencil and reproduction machines. And stuff, so I did that graphic there, and he liked it immediately. The fun part for me is that board officially never came out. They did a handful, sent them out to some distributors, some pros, but this never made it to actual shops. So now, many years later, I talked to George about it. Stevie and Lance had sort of pushed me in the, like, what about that board? So I called George and I said, just so you know, I'm not at all against bringing out this board if you want to. it would be a fun one because the collectors, I sold all 3 of the ones that I had that I never rode, and they made record amounts of money. And so I was like, I know there's people dying to have this board. If you want to reissue it, I'm fine. So what we're looking at is the light blue reissue. The first reissue was a white one. Then they made a silver one for the European market for the 24/7 distribution. Okay. And then they brought out this one, and now the latest one is a yellow one. So they have reissued.
So you've already done it a few times.
Yeah, and it's really cool. It feels,
do you have any of those other reissues?
I by contract get
okay, all right,
quite a lot of them.
Okay, good.
And the pay is good too. And I say that not because I have to make a living off of that. I don't, but I think it's so fair that it is good now. Because back in the day, everything was $1 per board, which, if you look at how much they sold for, wasn't right. But nowadays they
I mean, back in the day, wholesale was about $26 to $28. Yeah, and it pretty much stayed that way for 30 years. And it's just now that the boards have finally gone up a lot in price because glues have gone way up, and just everything in production on boards now has gone way up. So
I can only speak for Santa Cruz, for instance. Even the guy that's making the graphic or did the graphics, like Jim Phillips, is now getting paid a good amount of money instead of just one lump sum of money. Thank you for the graphics. Right. Because it makes sense, because some of those boards all of a sudden become real good sellers. Like absolutely. The Santa Cruz exploding clock, melting clock. Those are, to this day, very good sellers whenever they bring those out.
When they bring them back out every, 3 years or so?
So Jim Phillips should make his money there.
Absolutely.
And not just be happy with the whatever grant that he got when he did it.
It's Kendall that's running that show now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Kendall is a skater. He gets it. So
I'm sure he's I think Denike is the one who made sure.
Bob skated as well.
Yeah, he made sure that everyone's getting that money, and that's a good thing. Man.
That's a damn good thing. Yeah. Yeah, because I've seen that was the one thing when I got back into it. Like I had no idea when I was skateboarding, and then I went back to school afterwards, and then I got pulled back into the industry, and then I was working for H Street or Magnuson Designs or whatever, and I got put in charge of production. And that's when I started walking into all the wood shops and them coming into me going, "Oh my God, Dave, we used to make 4,000 or 5,000 year boards a month." Yeah,
I never
knew.
Like
5,000.
That's what I'm telling you. We sold a lot of those in Germany.
Yeah, and then I went to the other wood shop, and it was like, "Oh, we made 25. We had an open order 25." I went to the other wood shop. It was 1,000 to 1,200 a month, just open, send them, And then it's like, oh, well, I never got paid diddly.
I could, like, not that I have it here, but at home, if you want me to, I can look at every month at Santa Cruz and I can tell you exactly how many boards I sold and how much I made, which I think is just an important part to, it justifies me being on that team, and it's just a professional matter of doing it. You know what I mean? I never really got paid at Titus, but I got paid back by so many other things by those guys. So I'm very happy with that. Powell, I got like a lump sum of money per month. That was just okay. Yeah. Indy, same thing. First time I made any money at all was on Madrid Skateboards, the sponsor that I went to after Powell. Okay, so all right, well, let's get into that then. I'm sorry, it's a long story, man. No, but it's a skate history right here, and that's the important. And there it is. There's a little bit of insight on it. You know what I mean? Like, for your career, like I had no idea that you won as many championships as you won. I had no idea that you shot covers. You were on the same cover, for both Thrasher and Transworld. That's insane. Plus the fact that you were one of the first European guys to come over here, make a name for yourself, but then also had all the other Euro kids over there going, Klaus is our guy, I mean, that pulled huge. But that's what's so good about podcasts, because back in the day, you'd have to find this info. Yeah. You had to read through the magazine and go, that cover was shot by Klaus. Yeah. It's not like anyone made that a big thing. It's just, it said in small print. Right, tiny Klaus. I shot that cover, right? Yeah. Later, when my music career was happening, it's not like people were like, this guy's out on the road with Bon Jovi. Okay. It's like no one talks about it like that. Yeah, we're going to get there. Okay, so this board here this board that we have up I was on Powell. I wasn't happy. I quit. I talked to Titus. What am I going to do? He said, okay, let's find out if we can find somebody. I had my eyes on Madrid. I liked that Mike Smith board that they had out.
Okay.
My friends were riding
What
it.
was the transition time between Powell and Madrid?
Honestly,
Yeah.
a week.
A week, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was like 6 weeks or a month and a half.
No. A week.
It was that
A week,
long.
and it was the nicest,
week.
the nicest phone call to Bo Brown ever. Bo Brown, one of my big mentors.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Bo.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. To this day.
Yeah.
To this day, one of my dearest friends. We called him and said, look, I'm available.
Yeah.
And he will tell you, he went to Jerry and said, Klaus is available, and that's a done deal.
Yeah.
Within a week, I sent over my shape. That shape, if you look at the Powell shape and if you look at the Madrid shape, you will see very big similarities between the shape. That's kind of like almost the same thing.
That's a little different.
The Madrid shape is what my Powell board was supposed to be shape-wise.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
And my friend Florian Böhm took the photo of me lying outside of my house in the garden. That's me floating around in that stream of time there.
Yeah.
And I photographed all the clocks and watches on that board, and they're all from my wife's flat. My wife's family owned all these clocks and probably still do.
Wow.
And I should find those. And I think the only exception would be the alarm clock on the upper left. That's my own alarm clock, a red alarm clock that I had next to my bed.
Unbelievable.
And I just I slapped that together within a couple of days.
Yeah.
Sent them a color scheme of what I thought it should look like. They were just very hands-on. They still are very hands-on in board production. A couple of test boards. That's it. Oh, by the way, you want to come over? We're planning an East Coast tour, and that's all. That all happened within that month.
And Bo is back with Jerry too, right?
They're
in Madrid.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, he's still working there. Yeah, I just ran into him for the first time and got to talk to him in a long time. I was like, you got to come on the show because he was a great slalom racer,
that time,
downhill guy.
Coming over in '86 when the board was out and everything, that was a whole different thing. That was not me being supposed to be picked up at the airport. Nothing happens. Nothing. Bo picks me up, has everything planned. I'm staying at his place. We're going places. He shows me stuff. I go to the factory. I get the tour. I hang out. We get to fly to the East Coast with the entire team, Mike Smith, all of those guys.
Yeah.
Bill Danforth.
So you felt kind of
Bryce Knights, sorry.
Yeah.
And we're going.
Oh, wow.
We're doing a 3-week-long East Coast tour in 2 rented Cadillacs, and that was awesome. But so it's a proper team, and it felt great. An actual check came in, a board sold, and all of that. It was awesome.
Man, yeah. I mean, and Madrid's been around for 48 years or 50 years now. So
you got to also understand, coming from where I'm from, and it doesn't matter what country it is, but it ain't California, right? So now I'm on an actual team.
Yeah,
I'm one of those guys.
Right.
I'm one of the top 5 guys in that team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm getting paid for it. I'm doing a tour with those guys. There's a board. There's stickers. It's available worldwide. That's kind of like I've already reached sort of one of my main goals. I exceeded that goal later, but there and then I was like, I remember we were in Plymouth on the East Coast.
Okay.
And we were whale watching accidentally. It's just that kind of a place. And I stood there and I thought, that's kind of everything I ever wanted.
Yeah.
It's awesome. We did a show every day for a little bit, went back to California, eventually stayed there for a little bit. But Tim Piamato kept calling. I was already not riding Madrid wheels anymore because they were a little slower.
Yeah.
I was riding Santa Cruz wheels through Richard Mederver.
Okay.
And so this is a bigger fish in the tank, man. What's going on? We go to Vancouver. I fly there as a Madrid pro. I get 6 in half pipe and 6 in bowl.
Yeah.
And I walk down the stairs at the half pipe with my bag and everything, and Tim Piamato's down there looking at me going, Grabke, what are we doing with this now? And I didn't tell Madrid that day, but I told him, yeah, we're doing it. But I had to go home and start a job. My parents had told me I need to be a proper German and start a job. An apprenticeship. We learn jobs for 3 years before we get actual money. We get a little bit of money in those 3 years, but it's your learning phase. And I learned how to reproduce photos and stuff. So perfect for my magazine work. And I started that job a week after the contest in Vancouver. So I said, I'll call you. We're good. We'll do this. I start my job with orange hair, super tanned, coming from California, and all these sad Germans that are starting the job. And I agreed to writing for Santa Cruz. I quit Madrid. Bo's totally fine with it. He's like, it's what you got to do.
Wow.
I get it.
How long were you with Madrid?
For a year. Good year. And so I'm at my new job, and I'm getting sent test boards by Santa Cruz by Tim Chibata.
Okay.
You know, and he's sending me a bunch.
Yeah.
He's eager to get this right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's where my Santa Cruz story starts. Right?
Okay, but you didn't do that graphic though. Okay, so we just went into Santa Cruz. Okay,
Right.
But all right, so
There's the graphic.
Okay, and that was Jim that did that graphic.
Yeah, but it's here's. Can you pull up the photo with Jeff Hedges skating the half pipe that I took? I took this photo there, the big photo of Jeff Hedges. Shout out to Jeff, I love you, man. In one of my local half pipes.
Okay.
We had a couple at the time, but this was one of them. That half pipe, that same side of the half pipe, there's a photo that my friend Uli Niewerner took of me doing a Smith grind. Now, I'm riding a Madrid skateboard.
Okay.
Now go back to the Santa Cruz graphic. See how I'm in the photo. I'm coming out of the exploding clock. There's a skateboarder in there. Can you pull that up?
Yeah.
This photo?
Yeah. Can you enlarge that?
Yeah, give me a second.
Sure. He's working on it.
Yeah. Anyway, so we got the exploding clock.
Okay, we're getting there. It's good. See, on the bottom there, there's a skateboarder.
Down here.
Yeah.
See that?
I see it.
That is that photo. Jim liked that photo so much of me doing the Smith grind in the ramp where Jeff was skating.
Okay.
But that's me riding a Madrid skateboard.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So just so any Santa Cruz collector knows, I'm on my own board. The little mini me there, I'm riding a Madrid skateboard. That's a little bit.
In a Santa Cruz art, in the art of the Santa Cruz board. Okay.
I thought
that's got to be a first.
Yeah, I've always loved Santa Cruz graphics, every one of them.
Absolutely.
Even the older ones like the GP and all of that, I loved it. But so now I get to work with the right guys, and Tim is so professional about all this. He's like, we got the shape right. I got all these cool Santa Cruz test boards sent and got the shape right. I wanted something else, not the bulky one. I wanted the cutaway with the little humps, and he loved it. He did tests on it. I did tests on it. We love it. He said, we got to get the graphic right. What do you think? I'm thinking Jim Phillips. I know you've done stuff before. I said, no, I'm definitely thinking Jim Phillips.
Yeah.
So I called Jim Phillips. This is my first graphic, this one that I did with him. I called Jim Phillips. We have a long phone call. I tell him about clocks and time, and that in my mind, I said, I had the sort of pulled apart clock, so let's not do that. But I like altering. I said, what about we do like an exploding clock? And it's exploding because I'm skating through it.
Mm-hmm.
And the first fax, back then is fax machines.
Yeah, of course.
First fax I get from Jim, very close to this, very close to what you're seeing. And I'm loving it. No skateboarder in there and no stripes, but very close to this. Few changes were made. Like, I think the numbers on the clock face were Roman numbers, maybe, or Arabic numbers, and now they're Roman numbers, because I like those more. Few things were changed. And he said, I need you skating, though. I need you, like, you're breaking the clock, or you're falling out of the clock, whatever you want to do. So I sent him that photo, and he used it. Then I got a test board from Tim with just a 3-color print, no stripes on it yet. And I said, you know, some of your boards, you have like these stripes like the DP. Can you do something like that to cover more of the board? And that's kind of what came off it. So that's my first graphic. I did with Jim. And it, just to give you a number, this is not me being big-headed, but
go ahead.
First month, it sold 18,600 units of that board.
Yeah.
So
skateboard was
that also meant, because this was all handmade, hand-cut, hand silkscreen boards.
Yeah.
This meant that someone at Santa Cruz had to go out and say, this is awesome. Let's make a lot of these, because otherwise you can't make these numbers.
Right.
So silkscreeners were going like this all day long.
All day long.
So I was stoked.
How many colors is in that board? Like 6?
I think they did make one at like there was a time where they made 7 colored ones, and they went back to 6 colored ones.
Okay.
And it's been just a very successful board. And my first graphic of 3 with Santa Cruz that I did was Jim Phillips.
I've seen a picture of their factory. And
it's on SoCal Drive.
I don't even remember where I saw it, but I just remember the fact that they had so many racks and all those boards sitting in all those racks.
Yes.
And, you know, you say 18,000 boards, probably took them, you know, a week or maybe a week, 2 weeks to.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
to silk screen those kind of boards, because that's each color. You got to wait for it to dry before you can get the next color.
Right.
You know? So it takes that takes a lot.
I lived up on 41st Street in Santa Cruz with the silkscreen crew and the team captain, Steve Keenan.
Okay.
So I was very close to those guys, and they worked nonstop to get these numbers up.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
The fun story with Santa Cruz is that I went there after, so I was doing my apprenticeship at a big company called Bertelsmann. They did books and stuff, and I was working there learning my job. At the same time, I was doing the magazine, like I told you.
Yeah.
I was doing photos for Thrasher and Transworld.
Yeah.
I was skating. I was now in a band called 8 Days.
Okay, wait a second. Okay, I remember that. You did music for Santa Cruz video.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so I was doing all, and then I was with my wife already.
Okay.
So I was doing a lot of stuff.
So what year is this?
This is 86.
When was the time for her?
There was, she's not, there was time enough for her. She would go with me most of the time. So we'd skate some ramp, and she would go with us and hang out and be with us. And we would do band practice. She would go, shows, she would go. But what I'm saying is, so I was at my job that I was learning, and this is a long, like you go there at 7 in the morning, you leave at 5, then you go skate, you develop photos, et cetera, et cetera. And now I'm getting these checks in, so I'm making about 3-4 times more than my boss. So after a year of learning the job, I quit the job. I was like, I'm not going to learn it.
You didn't buy them out?
No, I didn't make that kind of money. It's a big company, trust me. It's a very big
in Germany, so we know it's big.
a very big one.
Yeah,
one of the biggest out there.
That'd been funny.
Would have been.
That'd have been a great part of the story right there.
And then I bought out Bertelsmann. I went to I didn't tell I told my parents I'm going to be on a 2-week vacation.
Okay.
I didn't tell them I quit that job. I would have killed them.
Oh boy.
I bought a one-way ticket, which was possible at the time. This was pre-9/11, of course.
Okay.
One-way ticket, no problem.
Yeah.
Bought a one-way ticket to Santa Cruz. I get picked up by Bob DeKnight, who was just starting out his job at Santa Cruz.
Okay.
And I went there, started living there, and after a couple of days called my mother and said, by the way, I was lying to you. I quit that job. I'm here on a one-way ticket. I'm not going to come home. I did the Tony Magnuson in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm moving over
but
here
there
now.
was 2 different things.
It's a different thing, I know. And by the way, I have the highest respect for Tony's whole story. And I hung up on her because I didn't want to hear the answer. But then she calls me back. She somehow found out the number and calls me back and she says, and just so you know, we're okay with it. And she hung up on me. So then that's really the best time of my life. Was right there and there. I lived in Santa Cruz, hung out with Rob Roskop a lot. We skated that big elbow ramp at the water park.
Yeah.
And started, like you were right. I did music for their videos, and I had 5 different models on Santa Cruz, 2 of which I did the graphics for, 3 of which Jim did the graphics for.
Wow. Okay, so your music career. So how'd you pick up the music thing then?
Spidey's to be blamed. Spidey's to be blamed.
Get out of here.
Spidey. That was on you.
Real?
I've always loved music.
Yeah.
I always did love music.
Playing though, I mean, were you?
Yeah, it's a different thing. Collecting albums is one thing.
Yeah.
Playing, I never really tried to or thought about it.
Okay.
Spidey came, like I told you, in '83, and he brought a guitar. Actually, he didn't. Sorry, I bought a guitar.
Oh, I was going to say, he always has
No,
his guitar with him.
I bought a guitar from my cousin for 200 Deutschmarks at the time. And Spidey started playing. He's a good player.
Yeah, yeah.
And
He's
he
awesome.
played all the
Yeah.
time, and he taught me how to play guitar. So now I could play guitar,
Unbelievable.
and this guy who we know, or didn't know at the time, but we knew he's a musician in my town, approaches me at some point in '84 or something and says, "You want to join my band? I'm looking for a singer." And my wife says, "He's a great singer, have him." So I joined the band. We actually formed a new band, so to
Okay,
speak.
yeah.
And that was 8 days.
Unreal.
And so those recordings, which my brother did in our basement, ended up on the Santa Cruz soundtrack.
Wow.
Isn't that fun?
Unbelievable.
First song
How
I
long
ever
did that
sang in
take?
front of a mic
Yeah.
was What's So Strange About Me, which is, I think, one of the biggest skate hits or whatever you. It's the title track for the Santa Cruz
Yeah,
video.
that is.
It's the first time I'm in front of a mic. It's my first take. We used it like that.
Unbelievable.
Crazy to think, even for me, that that's how it went down.
So that's how the music started, huh? Oh my gosh, man, that is that's quite interesting. I never would have thought,
Right.
you know.
The
just-
good thing is Santa Cruz paid us $5,000 to record songs. They heard 2 songs, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is great! Can you record more?" So we ended up recording 8 songs, and those songs ended up in the Santa Cruz video. But also, we through the songs and through a Thrasher tape. Remember how Thrasher had
Yeah,
the tapes?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
Mofo put us on one of the tapes, and it had my phone number on the tape. And Rough Trade Record calls us and says, "We found you on the Thrasher tape. We want to bring out your record." So now we're with Rough Trade Record, with the Smiths and all of those guys. We're on one of the coolest labels out there.
And this was for 8 days.
This for 8 days. In 1985, we got
So
signed by Rough Trade.
and this started all in Germany.
Started in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah. But became a European thing.
Okay.
We never played here in the States. with 8
Okay.
days.
Interesting, because I was just so you stayed with that band for how long? How long were you doing that
We
for?
did 3 albums.
Okay.
And so it went till 86, 85, 86, yeah. About 90,
About 90?
about 90, 91.
Wow.
Played shows, did tours, had albums, were in magazines. You
The
know,
whole thing.
yeah, the
but
whole
mostly
bit.
all in
But-
Europe.
But aside from like on the side of all my skating,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? So it's-
Yeah.
Like I
Kinda
was
like
still
Dwayne Peters
in my
and
heyday of skating,
Steve Alba.
but also bringing out albums. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
okay.
those guys. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Wow. Still had time for that. And skating.
I sometimes wonder, getting up early and not drinking and not doing drugs is a
Right.
good thing sometimes. you
Yeah,
know?
well, hey, I'm right there with you.
that
Well, I
keeps you
couldn't-
going. People think the drugs keep you going. No,
Yeah.
they make sure you don't. Keep
Yeah, they
going.
kind of stop you at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
I don't know. I was fortunate enough I never jumped on that bandwagon either.
Yeah,
So
no, nor did
you
I.
know.
And to this day, weirdly enough, I've never had a drop
that's
of
why we look
alcohol.
so young.
Yeah. Do we?
Yeah, of
Do you have a
course.
filter on this, maybe, or
Yeah.
something? Yeah, you're right about
That's
that.
That's why this is turning blonde, not gray.
Exactly.
Oh,
That pirate blonde.
oh, man. Yeah, whatever it
I'm
is,
going to use
man.
that term if I may. Do you have a
Yeah.
copyright on it? Yeah, it's good.
It's a great term.
Pirate blonde, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm losing track of where I'm supposed to be. I kind
No,
of
but,
like,
you know,
I
we're
always
in the
keep
middle of
notes
it,
and
but
stuff. Yeah,
everything
I don't
kind
know what
of-
that says,
Second to
man.
last page.
Oh, is he?
We're
That
kind
far?
of, I'm kind
Yeah.
of going in and out of things this
Yeah,
whole time.
that's what's awesome.
I mean, I'm
That's what we want.
photographing, I'm
Yeah.
being with the band, I'm on tour with the band, I'm skating a contest.
Well, what about?
It's kind of that's what these times were like.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what I did. And it never felt weird or
Yeah.
not normal. That's kind of what I did.
So Santa Cruz, that's
the
basically
shit.
your love.
They were the
You
shit.
know,
They
yeah.
treated me like
Yeah.
Madrid treated me great. So let's
Yeah.
get that straight. They really
Yeah.
did treat me great. But I mean, yeah, this is a cool ad there for Santa Cruz. That's me riding the exploding clock
Yeah.
with the dreadlocks and everything in Dortmund,
you had
Germany.
you had a lot of looks.
Did I?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. I mean, just the color of your hair was different all the time, and
There was a couple of hair colors,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's what I remember.
But the dreads I went with for a long time, and then I cut them. We had Finn, my son, and he started pulling on them, and I was annoyed by him already, so I cut him off at some point. But I think it all goes. It's you know how nowadays when you look at the street league stuff, it's very sport oriented, like the way the commentary goes, and the format that it's run at. I think, and this started with people like you and Duane and those guys. I think skateboarding back then was about a lot more. It had a little bit of a rock star feel. It had a little bit of a band on tour type feel. And it wasn't so much about who does the highest air. Maybe it's who invented their own trick. Or maybe it's who does the funnest stuff aside from skateboarding a little bit. And I feel like that golden generation of skateboarders was a lot more about that. They were great skaters, yes. But it wasn't about the Olympic Games. It was about
no, it wasn't.
that lifestyle.
No, it was anti.
So a hairdo. Ask Steve Caballero how many different hairdos he had. Or even better, and this is a good one. With how many different hairdos, did Stevie have covers on Thrasher?
Oh man,
it's a couple.
Haircuts. Same with Tony Hawk.
Haircuts,
yeah, same with.
So
Tony.
it's a thing. It's just a sign of the times, man.
But I know when I was just looking through your stuff. And
I can see that.
Oh my gosh, is that him? I can't even tell. It doesn't look like him.
The funnest one being, and you didn't have it in the photos there, but I had a Santa Cruz ad where I'm in black light makeup.
I might still have it. He hasn't shown them all yet.
It's an ad that says "Lighten Up." My wife Dana took the shot. It's we had a black light lamp, and I used black light makeup. So I had like yellow hair, and it's bright yellow, and that was a fun one. So colors weren't a thing, like bright colors in my heydays. That was a good thing.
I remember seeing it, but I don't know if I pulled it.
That was it. No problem.
No, I didn't pull it. Okay, yeah, I remember seeing that picture. And I was like, okay, let's. I don't know. I should have got it. I should have got it. I should have got them all, but there was so many of them. That was part of it. I got a lot of the skateboard stuff of you skating.
That's great. That's great.
And I really wanted that.
Oh, interesting. One.
Yeah. So here's a Thrasher.
From 1986, I believe. But the photo was taken in 85. Sometimes these stories, I believe, or early 86. Not sure. This is, I'm on Powell. I'm on Powell and on Indy. And I get a letter in, an actual letter. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's someone wrote on paper and sent it to me.
And mailed it?
From a guy in the Czech Republic. At the time, it was in Czech Republic. It was Czechoslovakia still. So Czech and Slovakia. And a guy called Peter Kiss. Who later worked for Tracker, but he's at this point lives in Prague. And they have a very similar thing going as we Germans did, just crazier. We bought some trucks and wheels and boards. They just weren't the right ones, but they made their own trucks and wheels and boards. And snowboards and stuff.
In Czechoslovakia.
In Czechoslovakia. They couldn't buy anything. There was a skateboard made by the Czech Republic government at the time. That was just a piece of shit that you couldn't really ride on. They got, like us back in the day, tried to get every little bit of information on skateboarding. If someone bought a Thrasher or a Transworld and got it into the country, it was passed on from household to household. It was crazy. So he writes me a long letter and explains to me, I just want contact to someone who we're looking up to from over here. I'm with my wife, who's Serbian, so I understand a little bit of that language, but I definitely understand a lot about that culture, right, from those countries. So I'm loving this. So we're writing back and forth, and he goes, how about you come over here? How about we organize a tour? You're writing for Powell? How about I ask Stacy, who I also have contact with now, if you can come over? And I said, sure. I'm thinking about bringing my friend Shane Rouse, who's a good freestyler, so we could show both of these styles of skating. And then Powell paid for it, for us to come out there. We flew out there. We needed a special visa. And we had their Secret Service follow us for the entire 2 weeks. There was a car. They were parked outside. Poor lads, they were outside in the car sleeping. We're in the hotel raging. and they're out sleeping. But we arrived in Prague, and he showed me his little basement where he builds snowboards and trucks. They pour their own trucks.
Unbelievable.
They have their wheel molds and everything. But we came in, blonde hair, with the shirts and the stuff that were like UFOs to them.
Yeah.
Like a cultural UFO had landed.
Yeah.
They had built a half pipe. This half pipe right here is made of metal, and for the time, it's like the biggest half pipe I ever skated.
And this is in Prague.
This is in Brno.
Oh, Brno. Okay.
And this is the first stop of the tour. Look at how many people came to see it.
It's huge.
And there was no platform. Now what you see here, there's a platform.
Yeah.
But when I skated it the first night I came in, it was dark. I skated the ramp because I wanted to skate it real quick. There was no platform. And I hung up because the lip was really just a piece of metal sticking out.
Yeah.
The local locomotive club had built this half pipe, looking at magazines, sort of thinking that's what it should be.
Right. Wow.
And it was skatable, but I did a rock and roll and hung up and fell, and I broke my wrist, and that's why that's not a wrist guard. That's a self-made bandage or cast.
Yeah.
That's duct tape and bandage material. So I could skate with a broken wrist. My doctor, when I show him my wrist now and I complain about it, he's like, have you seen your Thrasher cover? What do you want me to do now? That thing grew together while you were in Czech.
You paid the price for that.
So we skated this for a day. Shane was doing freestyle demos. I helped him with that a little bit. He would also skate half pipe a little bit.
Wow.
And then we went from place to place. But he took that photo, and that's so funny that Mofo, who did the graphic for the cover, this is him thinking that any of the background graphic has to do with this. The flag on the right-hand side is the Russian symbol, and the one on the left, I think, is Albanian.
Yeah, okay.
It's not Germany at all. Oh, it might be Austria. It is Austria. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
Of course it is. But so has nothing to do with Germany.
Right.
But it's a great-looking cover, and it's
well, that's all he was looking for, was to make it cool. He didn't care.
That's fine. And you know what? Trust me, as an artist myself, I like that artistic freedom.
Yeah.
I like it. It's great.
Yeah.
Now, I did not only shape German skateboarding or helped shape it to be what it is, or international skating. Now I'm in Czech Republic shaping, like, to this day, when I come to Czech Republic, these people
still
are like, yes, you don't know what you did here, but you know what I mean? It's a great feeling.
Did you ever skate the Mystic Cup in Prague?
I did not.
Really?
It's after my time.
Oh, it was after.
Such a big thing, and I never skated it. I should go.
It's been going on for 30 years now.
Yeah, but it's
a long time.
Seriously, after my time, I think the first one.
I forgot how old you are.
See, the first one they had, I think I didn't have time. I think I was in the States.
Oh, is that right?
And then after, I just never went.
Yeah.
But we go there all the time. I went there with my son's band many, many, many times, and they love them there.
It's beautiful.
It's one of the most beautiful countries.
I love that place, man.
I love it too.
I have to say that when I went to Prague, it's a lot of cobblestone. So I'm thinking, where do you get a chance to skate?
Well, they know, they take you there, because we went street skating for a little bit too, here and there, and they knew where to go and found some good spots. Yeah. But it just, they needed that spark. Someone needed to set up the spark and say,
well, no, I mean, there's a lot of shops that are there now in Prague. I mean, there's like major, Mystic distribution.
Yes.
And where they have the thing there, and then there's Extreme.
We played the Mystic Festival, right? We played that a bunch. That's not the skate contest. That's just a big,
that's the band.
Very big music festival. We played that a bunch already. Yeah. Know all those people still. Peter moved to America, of course. He worked for Tracker later, but I still meet him all the time. Usually when we're out in Detroit, I think. Yeah. Denver. He's out in Denver somewhere.
I just remember going into Prague and sitting there. We showed up the first day, Americans, and naturally I didn't know where to go to eat. So I went to a McDonald's and it was like $12. And here it's like $5. And I was like, wow, this place is expensive.
How about that?
Right?
Now it's the other way around.
And then and then we went and found a nice restaurant, killer steak, everything. It's like $5. That's with 2 beers.
Oh, yeah.
We left the guy like a $10 tip because we were just so blown away by the prices. So cheap.
My problem on that first tour in 85, 86 was that they were still basically a communist country.
Yeah.
So no one got paid by the hour or by how good they did. They just all got the same. So
Yeah.
whatever, if they were good or bad, they would still get the same pay.
Yeah.
So I am now a vegan, and I have been for many years, but back then I was a vegetarian. And so you went to a restaurant, you're like, can I have this dish, but just not the steak, just the potatoes and the whatever. We're talking early days of vegetarianism here.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, no, because he didn't care.
Yeah.
He didn't want to make that extra call. So I ended up eating Snickers a lot there. Or buying bread at the, whenever there was a chance. Food-wise, that trip wasn't so good, but it's great now. Prague is one of the vegan
capitals now.
of Europe. It's crazy now. Yeah.
Now I've got one here. A guy that works here is that way too.
Yeah.
And well, honestly, it's going to lunch with him. I'm just like, oh no, because I can never get anything to eat. It's like the totally opposite.
No, you're getting a lot.
I just have to eat really overly healthy,
Yeah.
So anyway,
You have to?
huh?
He has to, or you?
No, I do.
Oh,
Well, he always
vegan
does.
is your option.
Yeah, he always does. But
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's just kind of funny. Are you guys both vegan too? Is everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are.
Well, then it makes it,
Finn's never had meat in his entire life.
Well, thank God we
Real?
get those pepperoni and sausage.
Wow. Yeah, we were gonna get.
Right?
We were gonna bring in some like super burgers from Carl's Jr. today. but-
I want everybody to know that whatever you do is
Yeah.
fine with me.
Yeah.
I really don't want to be that guy. It's
Yeah.
just for me,
Yeah.
for everyone in our family, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
I think with the 200 shows that Finn and the band plays and that I mix every year now, eating healthy, being healthy. We have our road bikes in the van every time. This guy goes out, runs the Berlin Marathon in between shows.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know,
it's online. Good for you.
They're
Yeah, man.
as hard of a rock band as it ever gets,
Yeah.
but they're also health conscious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whatever your deal is, that's fine. But we need to be this way.
Yeah.
Please understand.
No, man, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually, I think everybody in America is going to be that way. And I say that because Bill Gates is making all kinds of food-based, plant-based meat products
he is,
now.
right?
So,
He is, right?
I figure how long is it going to take before every McDonald's, everybody's just going to be serving that anyway.
Well,
so,
there you go. And I'll be okay with that.
yeah.
It's just I prefer,
Yeah.
because I don't want to put more money into Bill Gates' pocket, I prefer the local little shops.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If someone just self-made stuff and it's healthy and good, that's usually where I end up.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Well, hey, man, more power to everybody. I don't care.
Right.
I think it's actually a really good thing too. So, anyway, okay. So, skateboarding wise, after where do we go from?
We're at Santa Cruz.
the
I'm riding for Santa
days?
Cruz.
Yeah. But I
These
mean,
are the
like,
good-
you're 5 years there too, or how many years did you?
86 till
When did you kind of?
94?
Wow, yeah, hell of a
Around
career.
that
Man.
time.
That's a long time. And you stayed healthy, no surgeries, no injuries,
Oh, no, I had-
other than a broken wrist.
No, I broke my shoulder.
Oh,
I broke
okay.
my shoulder when I was 13.
Okay.
Just riding a little transition thing in the city on like a cobblestone surface,
Yeah.
and just did the fell and broke the shoulder. I tore the ligaments in at Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Later, I did I broke my wrist in Czech Republic. I tore ligaments in my foot, hit the shoulder on the right side, a bunch of stuff.
No head injuries.
No, been unconscious, of course.
Okay.
skating,
All right.
but nothing.
Join the crowd.
Nothing
okay.
that needed, nothing that needed.
I
Like,
think we all knocked ourselves out at least once or twice.
once or twice.
Yeah. Okay.
So, fun ones sometimes.
Yeah.
Fun ones were for a half hour after that I talked English to my son. But you remember that one, right? Yeah. Smith grind revert and just hitting the head on the next wall.
How many languages do you speak?
It kind of depends
Okay.
on what you consider speaking. I have American friends who say I speak Spanish and they say dos cervezas por favor.
Okay, that doesn't.
So I think around 4, but three pretty good.
Okay. So
4.
German, English. What are the
And
other?
French.
Okay, French. Okay.
I want to say, let's ask my wife. I want to say I speak Serbian.
Okay.
I speak
okay.
Serbian good, so 4.
Okay.
And the 5th one is I can understand pretty much all the Scandinavic languages
Okay.
very
Like
well.
Norwegian
and speak it okay.
Okay.
And speak it okay.
That's kind of like.
But I
yeah,
wouldn't
that's
say
kinda
I speak it.
There's
Germany-ish.
one you're missing.
Which
Yeah.
one?
What's that?
Band members speaking without words.
Oh, is that a thing? What do you mean? Oh, yeah.
Right?
Right.
The music
that.
world, right? Oh.
And
That's
that.
what used you 6.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, all right.
But
Right.
Europeans in general, the borders are so close. You know, being German, you'll learn. I speak Dutch pretty good too. I didn't even put that in there, but just because they're a bordering country, right? You know, you have people from those countries living in our countries. You pick up on that.
Right.
That's a European thing.
Okay. Yeah, I have a friend of mine who's Norwegian who is kind of the same way.
Yeah.
He speaks like four, 5 different languages over there.
Most intelligent people in the world are from Norway.
Yeah.
They are.
The what?
The most intelligent people.
Yeah.
There's a list. There's like scientific reports.
Is that right? It says
Number
that,
1, 2, and 3 is Norway,
what is that?
Finland, Denmark, Sweden, whatever.
Is that from eating whale or what?
No, that's like school education.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Finland, I think, is number
Very
1.
high up.
Yeah,
Yeah, one of them. Norway or Finland.
Okay.
They might like switch that up every once in a while.
Okay. I just learned that from Pat Duffy.
Yeah, right up there.
Pat
Finland
Duffy
is right
told
up
me
there.
he's educating his kids both in Finland because they have the best education in the world.
And he's right.
Yeah. And my friend Carl, he's the same way.
Yeah.
Guys and his kids too are just incredibly intelligent, just over the top. He's a CPA, an attorney.
There's a school type intelligence.
Right.
And I think a lot of my skate friends have a street wise intelligence, which I think is almost more important.
They're both
It's good if you can mix them both.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And be able to play music.
That's right.
I can't play music. You have to teach me someday.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I learned
like be Spidey, or maybe I should call Spidey.
He's a good teacher. I can tell you that. He's a good
We've been
teacher.
trying to get Spidey in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. Get
I'm
that.
gonna get Spidey in here real soon.
Yeah.
He just did one with Jim Gray, so
Yeah. Well,
like
there you go.
a month ago, and so I've got
that crisscross.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. No.
So,
Have Spidey in here.
anyway.
He's a lot of stories to tell.
Did you ever? Did you invent what tricks did we invent?
I
What'd you
invented
do?
one trick,
Okay.
and it's a finger flip to tail. You have a photo of it.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It was a trick tip in Thrasher as well. Let's see if we find this photo. There it is.
Yes.
It's you grab the nose kind of like this and finger flip the board to
Underneath
tail. Yeah.
to tail.
I invented it in 84-ish, even like earlier.
What do
And
you
I
call-
brought it to the Virginia Beach contest.
Okay.
It became a Thrasher trick tip.
Okay.
Lance named it a Klaus to tail.
A Klaus to tail. Okay.
And a year later, Alan Nosey has an ad doing the trick saying, new trick, what should I call it? So,
Really?
and a couple of years later, what's the other guy Sal Barbier does a version of it on street.
Right.
Because it starts out with a weird grab.
Okay.
Like the board is like this and you grab it like this.
Uh-huh.
So he has a thing where he does it. And then people start calling it the Sal flip.
Okay.
Would I like people to call it a Klaus flip? Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Is it
Okay.
in my cards? Maybe some of the things where you're like, I wasn't aware of all these things. Maybe it's I'm not here all the time. I'm not in the clique every day. I'm not pushing hard for it. Maybe that's what it is. But it's also something that doesn't bother me much. But I did invent a trick. It's called the Klaus to tail.
Okay.
It's a finger flip lean to tail.
And you said Neil was the one who named it?
No, Lance did.
Oh, Lance did. Oh, shoot. Then that should stick.
That should really stick, but it
should
didn't.
stick.
So if this show helps to get it stick, I met Michael Burnett from Thrasher Magazine at the Caballero thing the other day on the 30, and he walks up to me and goes, I go, you got it. So that's good.
Okay. Because there's other tricks too that are in the same boat, which is like you mentioned the backside ollie.
Right.
That's the JT.
Was JT really the first? Was someone else? Who was the first?
I'm pretty sure it was JT, man, because I remember
sure. Listen, man, I'm not the one to say anything about that. I wasn't here, so
I saw him do it. I thought it was a mistake. I'm like, what the hell's he doing? That's a mistake. But he kept doing it over and over again. I'm like, that's a pretty awesome mistake.
I can tell you this one thing. I was in Sweden at one of those summer camps that we did with Rodney.
Uh-huh.
And he had a trick. Even I could kind of a little bit do that trick where he was standing on the tail, and then popping over to the nose. And he kept doing that. And one day I come back and he ollied over a board. He didn't just do it because he would then not do it from standing still, but he would just be on the board and sort of ollie to the nose, right?
Okay.
And then one day he was actually ollieing and kept rolling.
Yeah.
And no one thought of it as anything. It was more like, oh, Rodney's got another thing going. Then he puts up a big, like about this high, like a wooden thing that he found. And there's a famous photo that Grant took of him ollieing that.
Yeah.
And so that became a thing. So the real ollie innovator, I think, is him maybe more than Alan almost, because Alan did it like popping off coping. Maybe JT did it popping off coping.
He did.
But in all honesty, does it matter so much? Does Lizzie Amato, who's great, Amato?
Yeah, Amato.
Amato, I'm sorry. Does Lizzie really know she's doing a Klaus flip?
Yeah.
Is she thinking she's doing a Sal flip? It doesn't matter. She's doing a cool trick.
Yeah.
But Lizzie, I invented that trick.
Yeah. Lizzie, there it is. We just threw Lizzie
There
up.
she is. Lizzie, that's my trick.
That's all right. Most chicks, most of the women skating, all do an Andrect. So I noticed that when I was like an exposure 2 years ago.
Not on that photo, she's not.
You know, no. But that's okay.
But they do, and I love the way they're doing it because it's like your early ones, isn't it? It's not the flapped over Neil Blender type.
Eric Gresham type. Yeah.
Oh, is it an Eric?
Yeah, both of them did a fantastic. So did Owen Nieder. Did a really sick, super good one too.
I did really bad ones.
So,
I did 2 good ones in my life. I got a photo of it.
I did the same way.
But I did really bad ones, and it was one of my favorite inverts. And I'm an invert guy, but for some reason I couldn't reach back there.
That's because of that shoulder. That's what it was.
It's still sore from.
Anyway, all right. Well, let's kind of bounce over to music.
Right, please.
Okay, and what you've accomplished.
Right.
So I know you talked about things like, what did you do for Bon Jovi? What exactly did you do?
I toured with Bon Jovi.
Okay,
I toured with Bon Jovi.
You toured with them. What does that mean?
You open up for them.
Okay,
I did a European stadium tour. I opened up for them. I did meet them. They're cool guys and all of that.
And what band is this?
My band called the Alternative All Stars.
The Alternative All Stars. Okay.
I play guitar in this band and I sing. I wrote the songs and everything. It's 2 albums.
Okay.
And I toured with those guys.
Is that the same thing with like Oasis?
It is the same thing.
Okay, so you were like lead band for all those.
For all those bands. You get to meet the band. They choose you. There's a reason why they choose you. All of that. But
you're still friends. You've got their album covers all signed and gold records in your
photos with them. Yeah, there's a photo in a British pub of my drummer and I and Oasis, because the Brits are so proud of those guys, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I get to tour with Foo Fighters on their first tour.
Okay.
When it came out. Kurt had died 2 years before. He brings out the first album, and we were the band. We're on the same label, so we got to hang out. All of that. But I didn't produce any of their stuff.
Okay.
No.
So that's what
I produced a lot of bands, but not those bands.
All right. Yeah. I was just curious as to like what it means, because I'm not a music guy.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I gotta figure it out. So so
for a lot of shows, some of them 75,000 people.
Yeah.
I did Bon Jovi shows.
Okay, because I mean we have some pictures, but I think the pictures actually of your son's band.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
So I went on picture books and I went on their website.
Yeah.
And stole a bunch of stuff off that to put on here.
Do it. Yeah.
Got to help promote, right?
Shit, absolutely.
Here's one of the albums that you guys did.
That's the last one we did. This is all with guest singers.
Yeah.
And so the band is so cool that so many great musicians, meaning singers, helped us with this album, and we sent them songs to choose from, and they sang. So the lead singer in Clutch, Neil Fallon, Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm, singer in Monster Truck, singer in Blackstone Cherry, singer from Refused, Dennis Luxon. We even drove out to northern Sweden to record him and stuff like that. A singer from Blues Pills. So it's an album filled with singers from great bands. That sang on music that the picture books recorded. that I
Unreal.
produced.
Okay. All right.
And the other 3 albums that they brought out as a duo, here's my son playing.
Yeah.
The other songs are all just them two. They're a 2-piece. We have
Yeah.
a drummer who doesn't play cymbals and plays, as you can see in the photo there, the red beaters that he played, they're felt beaters,
Yes.
like classical beaters. He's got a 26-inch low tom. And my son, his main guitar that you see in this picture is a 1952 Gibson ES 125 that we bought at a pawn shop in Venice Beach.
Oh my gosh.
And that's when that started. They had a 3-piece before that, and the bassist left, and they asked me, what do we do? And I said, let's go to America, just reset all buttons, let's start new. We didn't know where to go, what to do, but the day we bought that guitar, he wrote 2 of our main songs, and we did music videos for him, and it all started happening.
Okay, so your son, is he writing? Are you writing? Is he writing songs too?
He's writing everything.
Everything now.
Everything, yeah.
Okay.
I sure as hell help wherever I can, but
Yeah.
he writes those songs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, I listened to a bunch of the music, and it's really good. So,
Yeah.
and especially with a 2-piece band,
Yeah.
that's amazing, what it is. So, yeah, check it out, everybody. Make sure you go in there
Please
and
do. The picture books are on Instagram. And
yeah,
you can find a million videos on YouTube.
they're going to be playing here when
Next year again.
next year we start back up. We're on.
Yeah. We played earlier this year, but we're coming back for a lot of American shows next year. I don't have the dates yet.
Okay.
It's
Let us
all.
know.
I will let
Yeah.
you know. We're working, and that's also part why we're here. We're recording some stuff in between.
Okay.
You don't need to bring. We were talking about tape machines earlier, and you don't need to bring any of that anymore. Nowadays, you have a computer, a set of headphones, a microphone, and a little box that
Okay.
you plug into.
Okay.
So we're recording a bunch of stuff here as we're here, and we're writing stuff too, getting inspired, and our first family vacation in 22 years.
I was just going to ask when you guys ever have time to
That's
go.
the first
and
one.
that was one of my questions is like, you guys have traveled the world. So where the heck do you go on a vacation?
To America, to California.
Like, what are you thinking?
No, it's because it's a bit of both. Because it's like, it's a bit of both. Finn's doing podcasts for the band too.
Okay.
And we're
That's where
writing
we
and
went.
recording.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, that's where we went.
Yeah.
And she's not been here for 22 years.
Okay.
And we're only
Wow.
sending her photos from all the trips that we're taking. If you play 200 shows a year, you can imagine she's getting a lot of photos every day.
Absolutely.
And she'd only seen Huntington Beach and maybe downtown Los Angeles on her last trip
Oh, God.
23 years ago.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to make a promise that, like, of all the places she wanted to go for a vacation, this was her first choice.
Okay.
And we're always down because we love it out here.
Right.
I love every part of America, but California would be my favorite part.
Yeah.
Southern California especially.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're okay. We went up to Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
We're not to blame.
Thank you.
Yeah. We usually
If it
have like,
wasn't for her, you wouldn't be in here today.
that's,
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
thank you for permission. Behind every good man is a woman, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's it,
Yeah,
man.
she's a strong one. Trust
Yeah.
me.
Good. Yeah, we need it.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So let's see. More about producing and stuff. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not like, I know you've done 200 podcasts on music. Everybody
I have,
wants to
yeah.
know and learn about music
Yeah,
and stuff.
every
and-
album you make,
Yeah.
you're doing a radio tour, you talk about what you do, how did you do it, etc.
Right.
I got
okay.
into production. We recorded those first 8-day songs that are on the Santa Cruz video.
Yeah.
And yes, for me, very naturally, I had a say in that too. How's that guitar going to sound? How loud are my vocals going to be in the mix, etc. But I didn't know. We had a very talented person to help us. Chris is his name, and he did very good. Right?
Okay.
But now comes time to record the second album. Right? The
Yeah,
first songs that
right.
we recorded became an album.
Right.
Easy. Do it in the basement. No one cared. That's why it went so great. Now comes the second album. Same guy. But we have different ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
I listened to the Beatles in the meantime. I've heard other stuff. Well, we're not sounding like that. What's going on? Why are we not I'm playing him stuff. Why am I not sounding like that? He goes, oh, because they used this and that microphone, or they used that and that compressor, and the setting was like this. Like, okay, let's try that. So I'm getting to learn about it.
Okay.
I'm now looking over his shoulders a lot. Why are you doing that? What are you doing that for?
Yeah.
If I enhance this, the bass drum will be beefier. I don't want it to beefy, he says. I said, I do. Right? So second album, there's a bit of crisscrossing. I'm doing a lot more of that. Third album, I now really, really think I know what I want. And listening back to our third album, I was right. It's a good one. First day, I'm noticing we're not going where I want to go. So I said, I'm going to have to take over here because it's got to be official that I'm the guy, I'm the producer here. You're the engineer.
Right.
I'm going to tell you what we do. So we started doing stuff like distorted microphone, like singing through an amplifier, singing into the guitar, recording drums from far away, recording backward solos, that kind of stuff.
Wow, okay.
You know, those old things that people like the Beatles have done.
Yeah.
You know, creating a weird sounding delay effect, not like the one in the box, but we're doing a different, you know, we're doing it this way with a tape machine. So so I got into it. So that third album, once that was done, I had learned a lot. Then I started buying a lot of equipment that I saw that I liked. I had an old Telefunken preamp.
Wow.
Which is what the Beatles and Lenny Kravitz and those guys used. It's called
Got a certain sound.
yeah, it's got a V76, it's called. And I had it and it was broken. I bought it, I wanted to use it, it was broken. So I found a guy who lived close to where I was, and he used to work for Telefunken back in those days when they made these things, because that's like 30s, but he was old. And he repaired it for me. I asked him, what else do I need? So he made me a list of equipment that he thinks I should buy. So I went out, I bought a bunch of stuff. People were selling it because it's the digital revolution. People wanted digital equipment, and I didn't. I wanted the good stuff. And people were selling the good stuff. Like there was a guitar, an Ibanez Steve Vai. It had like a hole where you could put your hand so you could carry it like that. It had 7 strings. It was fluorescent, and it was, people were selling the good Les Pauls to get this guitar, so you were able to buy the good stuff for cheap. And that's me. Yeah. So I acquired a lot of equipment. I had a little studio upstairs called the Upstairs Studio. Yeah. And eventually found the studio that I have now, which is a big space with big spacious rooms, big control room. There's a motorcycle garage next to it. Motorcycles are also a big thing for me. Right. And so we repair and work on motorcycles in the garage. There was a skate ramp outside, but it's deteriorated now because we're never there. Right. So it's now gone. And a big studio. And it's filled with equipment that I bought over the years. And that's kind of how that went. It's fun. Yeah. I love producing. Yeah. I love all of it. I love the mixing part. I love the engineering part. I love getting to meet the band on the first day and trying to decide where you want to go. It's much like photography. Is this photo going to be a wide angle shot? Is it going to be black and white? Yes or no? And that's how you start with a record. Where do you guys want to be? I always ask them the same question. I say, what album cover do you want to, in an ideal world, what album cover do you want to be on? So if they say some indie magazine or some hardcore magazine, then I know, okay, let's make it rough. If they call out like Rolling Stone, then I better make it pop, or, you know, it's an important part of production. And it's what equipment do I choose to help them get to where they want to be. It's finding a sound for a band that's very interesting. There's a lot to it. Oh yeah, like we could do 2 podcasts about it.
You've been learning all about with this.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. I think it's pretty obvious, but we have a lot of fun, so what the hell?
Well, you know, if you do a podcast without a production, without these little mics that we have here, and it sounds terrible, then the answer is no one's going to listen to it. Yeah. We're in the car most of the time, traveling from one concert to the next, listening to podcasts. And the ones that we're listening to are the ones that over time have stood out because their sound quality is amazing. Yeah. And you can listen to it while driving in the car. Yeah. You know, so it is important to have a good producer for a podcast, I think. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Yeah. Okay. So musically, what else? What's the future? What I mean, you guys have next year's shows all lined up, or at least an idea of when, or who, or what states, and how many stops, and well, my music career as a writer, performer, those are over. That's fine. I'm super happy with it. That's what I do, and I have done for 8 years now. It's just helping them do their things, like producing. He writes a song, then we together, the three of us, think up like what instrumentation.
When you say the three of us, you're talking about
there's a drummer.
The
Yeah.
drummer. Okay.
There are only two, so it's
Okay,
easy.
right.
So the three of us in their studio, my studio, their studio, whatever.
Yeah.
And we're thinking about how we're doing this song. There's a song on the next album that has a 18-piece gospel choir that we recorded in Kentucky.
Okay.
And that song, he wrote the song without the choir, but the lyrics and everything, I said, how about we record this with a gospel choir? I said, where are we going to get a gospel choir? And I said, we'll be on tour with Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, and we're passing through Kentucky. And our friend has a studio in Kentucky and has said he knows gospel people. So day off, we drive into his little studio and record a gospel choir, right? So that's how that goes. They have 3 albums out as a 2-piece, 2 albums as a 3-piece, many videos, and we're currently working and we're almost finished with the next album. And that'll determine what are we doing next year. We're definitely going to be playing a lot of support shows in the States next year.
Okay.
I can't tell you right now which ones, but we're talking about certain things. We'll be touring a lot next year, although the album is not going to come out early next year. It's probably going to be single, next single, next single, next single, and by the end of the year, we'll have an album. That's how that goes nowadays. It's different now than it used to be.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because of the digital world, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get things out the next day.
Because we're all, me included, we're all listening to it on iPhones now.
Yeah. How long does it take you to do an album? What's it usually take, and how many songs? Or
I can't tell you. So an album with a band who have to pay every day my studio rate, my producer rate, they'll try to get it done quickly. So I've done albums in a month.
Okay.
There's people who claim to have done a whole album in 2 weeks. And back in the day, when everything was recorded live, it could be done in a day. The Beatles have done an album in a day.
Purple did it in a week.
In Montreux.
Yeah.
So in a casino studio.
Zappa had the best studio.
Well, yeah, probably. It's hard to say because for us, we're playing live in between. We're playing live shows in between. We're going skating in between. We're working on bikes, doing stuff for Harley in between. And so it can take up to a year. Okay. Till we're happy. Yeah. You know, this one certainly took a year.
And then after that, it's on the road.
Then you're on the road. And you have a phase where you don't write music. And then after a while, this guy comes with new ideas and you're starting to work on the next one on the side of your touring activities. Right. Okay. It's a busy life, but it's a very good life. Yeah. You know, working with creative people all the time, and family.
And family, that's key.
And we consider our drummer our family.
Yes. Sure. Okay.
Somewhat solid.
Yeah, all right. What the heck was that? Okay, so other things that you like to do. I know you're a big bicycle. You like to tour?
Oh, yeah.
Do tour
It's
bikes?
my son and I in our area, close to where we live. And we like to I ride my bike got it from Rob Roskop. Thank you, Rob.
Oh, nice.
I needed a bicycle because in the studio, especially in COVID, like I used to, by the way, I used to always ride bikes in my skating career even, because my doctor told me after my first injury, try to get 2 other sports, one for the legs, one for the upper body. So I got mountain bikes for the legs and badminton for the upper body. Okay. Wow. And so I was always a bicycle guy. But so in COVID now, I've been working on 2 albums this whole time, gained a lot of weight. My muscles were deteriorating. So we went for a walk and my knees were shaking. Yeah. So Finn got one of the mountain bikes that my brother owned repaired and said, start riding. So I did, really got into it, got a slightly better bike, and then really needed a good road bike. Yeah. And asked a guy who was working for Santa Cruz here, and he's like, you're going to have to ask Rob. So I wrote Rob, and I got a cool Stigmata, it's called. It's a road bike. Mm-hmm. And I ride it about 4, hopefully 5 times a week, longer paces. And I love it.
What kind of paces? What is it? How many miles are we talking? Or
up to 50 miles.
50 miles, okay.
Would be an average one would be 30.
Okay.
And doing good speed and really loving it. Really loving it. Yeah. I mean, I really got into it. I love the whole aspect. It reminds me of skating in a way. It's a lot to do with the technology side of it too. Like what shifting system do I have? I have an E-tap, which means I just tap here and through Bluetooth, it just shifts. It's crazy.
Wow. Unbelievable.
And I love how you rediscover the places you've known for years, like even where I live when I'm back home.
Right.
But I mean, because now you're on a bicycle, you're slower, you see things differently. But wherever we go with the band, we have the bikes in the van with us. Awesome. So we have an off day in Paris, and I do the last bit of the Tour de France.
Right.
I write that, because that course is out there. You could Google it, put it on your Wahoo, and you just follow that route.
Right.
We rode from Milano to, from Italy to, where did we go? From Milano to that lake. What's it? Como Lake.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. We rode in Spain. We rode in England.
Okay.
So I love it. So road bikes is a very fun thing to do for me. And it's a very healthy thing to do for me because it's good for my knees.
Right.
In comparison to skateboarding, which is pretty bad for my knees. And so after a ride like this, I'll be all relaxed and easy.
Yeah.
And after skating, like we skated the Santa Cruz Park for a little bit. And for 2 days, I was like, not riding the bike today. You know, so road bikes are good.
Well, this is the
All
other
right.
one.
This is the other bike.
Yeah. So tell us about these bikes.
So the boys on my son is the one on the left, and our drummer is the one on the right. My son is riding his shovelhead. It's an 81 shovelhead with a 47 wishbone frame. And our drummer is riding my 79 Ironhead. Both are choppers. We started out, I always liked motorcycles. When I was, during my pro career as a skater, I had enduro bikes.
Okay.
I liked enduro bikes a lot, and motocross bikes.
I love this one.
But when Finn was born and a little older, I got a Vespa, so we could ride to skate parks and stuff. Then he got himself a Yamaha, and we made a chopper out of it, and he eventually
made a chopper out of the Yamaha?
Made a chopper out of an SR 500.
Wow.
And this is a project, that's his shovelhead that we're currently working on, because some people donated some good parts, made some like good tank for it, different sissy bar, different handlebars. So we're always kind of working on them. When the boys were old enough to ride motorcycles, I was stoked. I also got myself a Yamaha SR 500, also built a chopper out of it. And then he got a Harley. And they got so famous for building these. He won prizes for his shovelhead and stuff. And then Harley calls through a guy who used to be in skateboarding industry for America's shoes. But then he was working for Harley. And he was like, can you also build these bikes out of new Harleys? And we're like, yeah, of course. So they gave us two Softails, and with our friends from Thunderbike. I'm sorry, I had to think about it. Our friends from Thunderbike, one of the biggest Harley Davidson dealerships in Europe. They helped us build those bikes. And so we built two choppers, but out of modern day bikes. And in the meantime, they've got given 2 more bikes to do a video with Harley and stuff. So it's good. Harley is one of our partners.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
It's cool.
Unbelievable.
I mean, he's sponsored by Gibson guitars and all of that. I mean, it's really cool how that band is really bigger than some people here think they are. Well, they're doing great in parts of America too. Yeah. But Europe is definitely something like England and France and Germany would be our main territories for sure. But they play big festivals.
Okay. I mean, the only person I know is Hensley that's doing the same type of thing.
Yeah.
That's still out running around, touring around the world.
And I have so much respect for him.
Over here, so you know.
But this is a show we played in Switzerland. That's one of their shows. It's on the Alps. It's really high.
Is that two-person band right there?
That's a 2-person band that they sound like an orchestra. This is a show that one of their own shows. This is the kind of crowd we pull on our own shows. And I think this is in Berlin. And yeah, man, it's the most fulfilling thing I have done in my life. We're talking about skateboarding, and I understand that we do. Yeah. And I understand that most people tune in because of this, but music gave my life a whole new aspect and a whole new idea. And once I started touring myself, it was awesome, but definitely touring with those guys because it's family and it's so much fun. Yeah, and you want to see them successful. I love being a live mixer too. Yeah, because you're mixing for an audience that is listening to what you're doing right there and then. You're not mixing an album that should sound good on every device. No, you're mixing for this particular PA and this crowd only. We played a festival in Spain. The crowd went so wild that after their show, the crowd somehow, like this is hundreds of people. The crowd was a couple of thousand, but hundreds of people made their way to the backstage area where they, over a ramp, go from the stage and were for like 10 minutes chanting their name. That's how excited they were.
That's
and
rad.
to see that as a father and as someone who's involved in the band is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's success right there. Okay, well, anyway, is there anything you want to add?
I think this was long enough. Let's not add too many things. I'm sorry if you went through this whole thing. I hope we kept it interesting. It's just, I was very, very lucky to lead a very rich and good life.
Yeah.
I've worked hard for it, and I want to say it all started in my head anyway, so I think your destiny's own, what's the word here? But you know what I mean? I wanted it to be this way, and it's busy, and it's stayed busy, and I want to keep busy for as long as I can be.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, hey, I just want to say thank you, man.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much for coming on. I mean, I learned so much.
You asking me,
I had no idea, you know, what an impact you had, just not only in Europe, but also here as well.
Well, thank you,
You know, in skateboarding, with the covers and, I mean, contest wins and unbelievable.
Well,
unbelievable career.
Thank you. I hope for you guys this was halfway interesting. And you asking me, I was super stoked, man.
Yeah. Well,
I was a big fan back in the days. I'm a bigger fan even now after talking to you.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. And everybody on Skateboard Nation, thank you for watching. I really absolutely enjoyed the show. If you did too, please hit the subscribe, like button, and let us know your feelings. Hit us up. Okay? Thank you again. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Skateboard Nation. Today, we have a little special bonus for you. Well, at least that's what I feel. We get the insight of Klaus's son and growing up and what it was like to be the son of a professional skateboarder, musician, and just like super cool dad, right? So anyway, going from there, what was it like? What were your earliest memories of like your dad and, you know, going to school or, you know, going and hanging out with him, basically?
So, well, life with your dad is life with your dad. Just to sum that up, I guess, you know, this was my dad after all. This was not Klaus Grabke.
Right.
You know, this was not my skateboard idol or anything. This was dad.
Right.
And it was rad to see him love what he was doing. You know, to have a dad that loves what he's doing was amazing to see. And so it was cool. He always took me along on skate trips, or I was able to hang out with skateboarders from all over the world. They were at the house, you know, stayed for a couple days, you know.
Just like,
but for me,
Rodney Mullen walking in type of thing, or
that kind of stuff.
Like,
yeah, there was pro skaters out there all the time. I wouldn't even be able to tell you who that was. These were all nice people. You know, that's what skateboarders, musicians, and whatnot, artists in general have in common. You know, they're kind of kids. You know, grown-up kids, and so they were all cool with a kid being in the house, and they all played with me and stuff. You know, it was always good times out there. But yeah, I mean, Pops was just the kind of guy that was not really making a big fuzz about him being who he was for me, in front of me. You know, I always just respected him for the person that he was, not for his career.
right? Okay.
And he always, for some reason, was able to make this best friend and also father relationship possible. You know, he's in the room with me right now, right there. Both of my parents are looking at me while I talk about them. Both of you guys did a great job. I don't want to spoil you and be all positive about it, because I got to be careful. But
okay.
I mean, it was almost, I can't say it any different. It was a perfect life.
Okay.
Always. It was a perfect childhood.
Okay.
And it was filled with skateboarding, art, music, laughter, riding around, driving from skate park to skate park. You've been to Europe, you've seen it, and to all these skate parks. And then at a very early point, we started going to California a lot. And that's how I was now in this situation where I was living two lives. I had my California friends, my California life, and I had my Germany life. And it was always like I was never, till this day, I'm not able to connect these lives. Here I am completely me, who I am here. It's the same person, but I've got my friends here, and they don't know anyone from over there. Sometimes, every once in a while, one of them goes to the other place, but it's two lives that I'm living. It's kind of crazy.
That's awesome. So, do you remember there was any time you wanted to go somewhere special, and maybe they said no?
What do you mean?
Like you can't go there because I don't know. Did you do any other sports or anything like that, or were you just strictly always in music and that type of thing? Like, I mean, I know your dad was like into soccer, football, okay, and I just didn't know, like, did you play any of those kind of sports at all to stop you from maybe going to a certain contest, or was there school ever a time where they said, nope, you're not going, you got to stick and do this?
I was very bad at school, and my parents were very okay with that. I was very lucky about that. They made sure I was going there. They made sure I made a halfway good job out there, and they really did. Not forcing it on me. They never forbid me anything.
Okay.
They never, what's the word I'm looking for here? I was never, if you mess up, then you get,
you get in trouble for it.
You get in trouble for it. I never got that.
Okay.
It was always, they always made me understand what I did wrong.
Okay.
And that was much better than just, paying your dues in a way. And so I guess I don't even know where I want to go now. What was the question?
Well, no, my whole thing is I was actually just trying to.
Oh, yeah. So, sorry. So I guess the thing that skateboarding was for me was just a natural thing. Like from day one, I was already a skateboarder. There's pictures of me as a baby on a board. It was just me. It wasn't like, oh, that day I started skating. I never had that. I was always just that. I was a skater from day one.
Yeah.
And so I started doing basketball. So I was actually pretty good at it, like local, like we had local games and stuff, and I was really good at it. But I was never feeling it the way that I was feeling skateboarding. And so at some point I felt like I should give skateboarding a bigger shot. And I was filming for a Sponsor Me tape. I was sponsored by Titus for a while and lived that life, but I was not feeling skateboarding that way. I was realizing real fast, oh, skateboarding is fun for me. I am a skateboarder, but I am not a professional skateboarder. I couldn't do the professional part about it. So I learned that it was, what's that?
I was going to say, I saw photos of you skating were really good.
Yeah, I mean,
you skated well.
Yeah, I was a lot better back when I was like in my teens. But this is skateboarding in a completely different time than the time that you were talking about skateboarding. These were times where it was not cool to skate transition. I wasn't I was good at transition, but my sponsor didn't want me to show that.
Right.
It was all about stairs, gaps, rails. It was street skating only. These were like Baker 2G. This is America. This is skateboarding. These were the kind of skateboarders that were out, and I loved it too. I was doing that, but it was fun. It was a crazy time because I was really also an all-round skater, and I couldn't really do that, and they didn't want me to do that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep skateboarding fun. And during that time, I found music. And none of these things, because, I mean, easily you could think, oh, this is your dad forcing you to go into music. This is your dad forcing you into skateboarding. It was never the case. Never. It was always me choosing these paths. And it was rad to have a guy there that was able to help me out there. Because especially the music business can be pretty bad.
Oh,
And it was good to have someone that I could trust in that business. Yeah. And he is, to this day, with maybe two other people, the only person I trust in that whole business.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like, it's kind of nice too to be able to have. I mean, just interviewing him and stuff with all the motorcycles and all the. I mean, you were like subjected to all the coolest shit ever. Yeah. So I can see you wanting to follow it, but I got a question too that I forgot to ask him, which is, did your grandparents, did they play music? Were they into it, or where did this whole thing start? Because usually it's, brought in by the family down, the road type of thing. Like somebody, like skateboarding, okay, your dad started.
Yeah.
You got involved in it. You did it. Music. Where did that come from? Like, how did that? I mean, did it come for a generation? Did your grandparents ever
No.
play or
Well-
anything like that? Or?
Well, my mom is a Serbian Italian. My dad is a German, and both of your parents weren't no musicians. They loved music, but what they did was all of them raised musicians.
Okay.
Both of my
Okay.
uncles are
Yeah.
way better guitar players than we are. Dad and I are not good guitar players. We just know what we want sometimes, and we know how to get somewhere, and we have other talents, but we chose the guitar as our main tool. But if you go and see my uncles play guitar, that's some real craftsmanship there. They really know how to handle guitar.
How old are they?
How old are they? I think young, 4 years younger than you, which is
Okay.
18, obviously.
Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And
Hey, no, okay.
and my other uncle
Lord,
Yui
wow.
is older than my dad, so 60 something, right?
Okay. So, do you ever see doing a group family album at any point in time?
We help each other out all the time,
Okay.
swapping guitars, swapping amps, and talk music.
Okay.
That's the cool thing about my home in Germany, where we have our studio and everything, and it's very, very slow.
Mhm.
It's a lot of woods. We got a studio on a farm, natural preservative around it, and no distraction. And if that busy life that we're talking about the whole time, all the careers my dad is doing, all the stuff that I'm doing, what all of this needs, I guess, is this little spot where we don't get distraction, where we just go down, go and focus and work.
Yeah.
And it's very important to have that spot. So, and it's rad to have a family around that is supporting that, and they come by the studio all the time, check out my new guitar, and we're blasting it out of speakers and everything. So it's always good times. And then all of this stuff that is happening right now is inspiration. And as soon as we're going back home next week, this will all be music in some way or another, or become visuals for the music. But whatever is happen outside of this little bubble is inspiration. And in there, we create something out of it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I just was just curious as to how you guys became so musically inclined, and now I know you have a 2-piece band, sometimes a 3-piece band, but I just didn't know if the family, the uncles, would join in and do an album together, and or if everyone would get along so well.
Yeah, we do. We get along awesome. It's really good vibes there.
Awesome.
It's just with me, I am a grinder when it comes to everything.
Okay.
Nothing really comes natural to me, I believe. My dad he always says it's different about me, but I don't see it that way. I'm like running. I just discovered running for me, and I just ran a marathon, which is unheard of because like a year before that, I was not able to run a mile. But it's just something.
It's a lot of training.
Yeah, but when I was running, this is what everything I do feels like. I can't even run a mile, and a year later, I'm running a marathon. And it's just because if I really want something, I'm
put your mind to it and do it.
Yeah, and I think that is the skateboarding mentality.
Yeah.
We're so used to falling and just getting back up again, trying it again. That mentality translates into everything that we do, and we're just so much more open to dare to fail.
Yeah.
And I think that is it's almost a superpower that a lot of people forgot.
Yeah.
That it's important to dare to fail other than just be scared, because that is failing already.
Yeah. So, okay, last question I just want to ask is as far as like your plans, like where do you want to be in say a year or 3 years from now? Like just stay on the same path and keep making music? And are you looking into producing and getting into that as well?
I'm
are you
already
learning
doing
all that?
Yeah.
Okay, you're already doing
already doing that. Dad and I always have been into. I was always part. I believe in a lot of the. I'm double checking with him if he's okay with me saying that.
No, I understand.
I was always part of the whole production thing and everything, and nothing's. I hope nothing's going to change. I mean, it would be sad. I would definitely be sad because I love what I do right now. I love life. I'm really happy. I'm married to the most amazing woman in the world. I've been married to her ever since I was I'm with her half of my life now.
Yeah.
She was my first girlfriend, and she's the one, you know, and I hope that all that just stays like that, and I can be, and I'm still able to do it the way that I'm doing it right now, because it's pretty darn good, you know.
All right. Okay, I have one more.
Yeah.
Just thought of it.
What's that?
Okay, if there was a single band right now that you would like to open for,
Right.
who would that be?
Oh God, like alive or anything fantasy.
Okay, let's go. No, let's go. Let's do one fantasy band and one current band that's out there right now that you would love to like go open for and do shows with for a whole season, year, whatever. Tour.
I guess because the fantasy band that is not around anymore, but I don't know too much about them, but they're one of my most biggest influences I probably have, and there's maybe because I don't have too much information about them. Usually it's better to not have too much information, but when you know too much, it's like all the fire is gone and all that made them cool. But I would really want to see the Velvet Underground, and I don't want to be in the audience. I want to see what it was like backstage. What the hell? Were they really going crazy and had all those drugs on the table? Was that really happening?
I bet it was.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Imagine though, Lou Reed in the backstage doing vocal warm-ups, you know, doing sit-ups, stretching, you know, the kind of stuff that we do, having a yogi tea for his voice, you know, everyone's like nervous, having the shits, all that. I would have. I know what it's like, you know. I haven't seen a single band that didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
and they're all playing big rock star up there and have the have that image of them. You know, we played with big names.
Yeah.
Lana Del Rey and whatnot. They all have that normal life backstage.
That's
and I would
incredible.
love
I never think about that.
I would have loved to see Velvet Underground.
Yeah. Okay.
How they were backstage and how they were sound checking and discussing sound and be like, I want more of me on my monitors.
Yeah.
All that stuff. The everyday stuff that I live. You know?
Okay.
That would be my fantasy band. And then I don't know, man. What's out there right now that would really kick me in the balls?
So your dad just gets a phone call and they said, we want your band to come on. Who would that be? Make that phone call.
That's a tough one because there's stuff that comes into it, because career-wise, I would need something. You know, I would be like, it would be awesome to go on tour with a band like freaking Foo Fighters. I mean, they just sadly had a pass away of Taylor Hawkins. Yeah. I don't know if they tour, but like to have something like that, which is career-wise, be amazing to be able to play in front of so many people. It would get the name out there and everything. You know, but then if you would be talking about what is like favorite band stuff or what is inspiration stuff that Jack White does, you know, he did the White Stripes and whatnot. If I would be able to, another two-piece band, or Black Keys, another two-piece band. Now that you mentioned two-piece band, that was the first band that came up. This is awesome stuff. That would just be a hell of a thing, you know. It would help the band. It would be amazing for me to see what they're doing. I'm probably able to learn a lot, you know. But we play big shows all the time. We were just gonna go on tour with a band called Clutch. We're pretty big out there. And what was the main act that we were? The Volbeat, of course. Volbeat, they're from Denmark. This huge band. It was an arena tour, but then Corona hit, and we were not going on that tour. It was kind of sad. People were sending us like pictures of Las Vegas Strip, and they had the big screen, right, and our name was on it and stuff.
Oh,
it was heartbreaking to see that was not happening anymore. But that's music business for you, you know.
Well, your dad has set it up.
Yep. It's coming back on that roster now. Hell yeah, let's go.
There. No pressure.
Let's go, Dad.
Yeah. What day is that gonna be? Anyway. All right. Well, anyway, hey man, I just want to say thank you for coming on and just talking about it real quick. I just, I always wanted to know, like, from the kid standpoint, what it was like, and I haven't had any other kids come in of famous skaters to talk to, other than my own son, but he'll come on one day.
It was a pleasure to be here. Dad has seriously been talking about your board forever and ever. It's one of his top 3 favorite skateboards.
Awesome.
And so when we met you the other day, the first time, he told me who you were. All I knew was this freaking board he talked about for years, and now he finally met you, and now we're here. It's crazy. That's life. That's skateboarding.
That's skateboarding, man. That's what's the beauty about it.
Hell
and the
yeah.
camaraderie that we all have. You know, I mean, it's a family.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just we're all a part of the family.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Well, hey, thank you again, man. I really do appreciate it, and hope you guys enjoyed the section. It's just about fun and hearing what the next back generation has to say. So it's cool. Anyway, thank you again. And good night.